and gentlemen, let's go. We ain't got no time to waste. Let's go. You are now listening to Jason Anderson, and you are in the zone.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Brought to you by Guaranteed Foods, official sponsor of Family Mealtime. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, a Wednesday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe, Dylan Michaels. We head up until 2 o'clock. We've got you for the next 4 hours. A lot of stuff to get into and talk about today. It is the season kickoff eve as the Chiefs get ready for the Detroit Lions tomorrow night, 7:15, 7:20, whatever. That officially kicks off. We have our 37-hour pregame that is kicked off already at 6 o'clock this morning. So we are into the full-on Chiefs pregame for 37 hours, brought to you by Quad Power Products. Call them at 816-965-8925 or online at quadfluidpower.com. That is Quad Power Products. We appreciate them being a part of that. Also appreciate the Google Fiber, the number one internet in the universe. Not only the world, but I think on Mars as well. The best internet provider with most Martians and those in Saturn.
Their customer service for Martians, just as good as for human beings.
It really is.
It's incredible how well it translates.
I have heard zero complaints from Martians about the Google Fiber customer service. I've heard zero complaints from humans.
Yeah.
On the Google Fiber.
True on both counts.
Customer service. It is the fastest. It's the best. The 1 gig still the same price that it's been since they started back in 1872.
Not going to have to hold out?
No, not at all. You don't have to hold out for more. You can even get 5 gigs as well. It may cost you a little bit more money, but at least it's available for you right there.
It's amazing they've had that technology for that long also. I didn't mean to gloss over it, but it's just so impressive.
Fine. No big deal. It's just sort of restating a fact. People know these things, but you got to remind them of how great Google Fiber actually is. And if you've cut the cord, you better go with Google Fiber because you want to make sure that there is no lag, there's no buffering, no delay on watching some sports. Last thing you want is tomorrow night to be watching the Chiefs if you've got secondary or second division, third level internet providers. And Patrick Mahomes drops back, and then it freezes.
Yeah.
What happened? And then it skips ahead.
You open Twitter. Wow! Oh, I've never seen anything like that.
My
the greatest
goodness.
play of my life.
It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. Have you? That might be the greatest play Patrick Mahomes has ever had in his entire career.
And you were buffering, you loser.
Google Fiber. It's the spot for you. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us. 913-912-4810. Here's how the show lines up today. We will talk with J.J. Yeley coming up at about 10:45 or so. He is the number 15 car, the Rick Ware Racing Ford Mustang, and the sponsor for the Hollywood Casino 400 this weekend is Jungle Law. He will have the Jungle Law car, will J.J. Yeley. So we'll talk with him coming up at about 10:45 or so.
A sweet paint job.
It is. There are some nice paint jobs out there, and that one certainly is pretty sweet. So we'll talk with him about this weekend's race at the Hollywood Casino, or at Kansas Speedway with the Hollywood Casino 400. Get his thoughts on that and some other things as well. I've always wondered, do NASCAR drivers get bored when they just drive their regular cars? I don't know.
That's a great question.
Actually wondering about
I would also like to know that.
Actually, honey, I do not want to drive.
Yeah, does he want to drive all the time, or does he never want to drive?
Just I want to sit in the passenger seat, or is it like, no, I need to be the one that's driving. Sorry, I just can't stand when somebody else is driving. Not going to happen.
Also, driving number 15 at Kansas Speedway. I mean,
one of the other things, yeah.
It's pretty good.
Number 15 at Kansas Speedway, not too bad. Not too bad. So J.J. Yeley will be our guest coming up at about 10:45. We will talk with Cynthia Freeland today at 11 o'clock.
She's back.
NFL Network.
Back again.
Analytics expert.
Cynthia's back.
Joining us every Wednesday.
At 11.
She likes offensive linemen that have back.
That's true, too.
So we will talk with her about the upcoming NFL season, the Kansas City Chiefs without Chris Jones, without Travis Kelce. Conversation that yesterday at this time didn't think we would be entertaining at all, but that is a reality that we are going through right now. How much tougher has the AFC become this year than it was last year? You know, when it was that crazy gauntlet last year. Now it is even tougher. So we'll talk with her about that, what the final record for the Chiefs is going to be this year, who wins the Super Bowl in her mind, predictions, things like that. So we will talk with Cynthia Freeland, analytics expert from NFL Network, NFL.com. We'll talk with her. Coming up at noon, Adam Rittenberg from ESPN College Football. Get his thoughts on the week 1 now of college football. Local teams all in action over the weekend, and get ready for week number 2 coming up. Mizzou no longer a quarterback competition, if there ever was one. It is just Brady Cook. There is no longer an or between Brady Cook or Sam Horn, or I should say Brady Cook and Sam Horn. There is not an or between them. They are just a rudderless ship right now, apparently. But Brady Cook is the starting quarterback. We'll talk with Adam Rittenberg about a number of different college football storylines. KU, Illinois on Friday night. K-State, Troy, Mizzou, Middle Tennessee State coming up on Saturday. And then we will hang out with Mick Schaefer in the 1 o'clock hour, KSHB 41 sports director. And, of course, it is the Wednesday before the season starts, for whatever season that may be. We've got our ZOUs coming up today. So Chiefs ZOUs today, and we will go through the over-unders of what we think will happen. What's great about, with the sports gambling is that these over-unders, most of them don't have to be set by us.
Yeah.
We can just simply go to DraftKings and see what the over-under is for these particular individual players, and stats are going to be for this year. So we've got that coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. Again, 913-912-4810. That is the text line. Let's get into the show. Let's hear from Jason Kelce. Jason Kelce, you've heard this a number of times on the Border Patrol this morning. If you haven't, here is Jason Kelce, WIP in Philadelphia. Thank you to the folks in Philly, worried about the folks in Kansas City and Travis Kelce. I do appreciate the fact that they had Jason Kelce on, and they did say, hey, what's going on with your brother? Because they could have just simply ignored it. But here is Jason Kelce on WIP in Philadelphia, and that quick little back and forth about Travis Kelce.
Jason, how's your brother doing? I mean, getting banged up this week with his knee in Kansas City. How is he?
I talked to him yesterday, and I've done the same thing. You know, you just plant, or, you do something and your knee hyperextends. Actually, I mean, if I'm being truthful, the last time I did this, I was making a bonfire outside, and I thought I was strong enough to kick a piece of wood in half, and I hyperextended my knee and did the same thing, bone bruise.
Oh, no.
So,
I don't recall you missing any time for that, Jason.
No. It was in the middle of the season, but my knee did swell up. And I was like, man, that was the dumbest thing I've done in a long time. But, Trav, this was out on the field. He did, I know he's got some swelling going on. But it sounds like as long as they can get that down, he's going to have a chance to go. The ligaments and everything are intact structurally. From what we know right now, his knee's fine. So really it's about getting that swelling down and then seeing how bruised that bone is. Because, if you guys have ever had those, they can be pretty painful, especially if it's in a spot that's rubbing all the time. And that can kind of shut down your muscles and do other things. But I think he's going to be good to go. I really do.
That is positive news. The first positive news we got yesterday was the reports that there was no structural damage to the knee, to the ACL, because hyperextension doesn't just mean, well, it's a hyperextension. Nate this morning was talking about that when he had his knee injury, it was a hyperextension. Then he went to the doctor, he had torn his ACL. But it was just a hyperextension until they looked at it. And then it was like, actually, you know what? You've torn that ligament, which is what some of the Twitter doctors, not the fake Twitter doctors, but those that had been doctors or
doctors on Twitter,
not Twitter doctors, but doctors who actually have a Twitter account as well, not Twitter accounts that double as the contract specialists and also then doctors.
Ex-doctors is even more confusing.
That's a good point.
Let's keep saying Twitter.
Ex-doctor, that's right. Well, some of them are ex-doctors. But a little bit was, hey, worst case scenario, ACL. Now, I think worst case scenario is amputating the leg, but that's just me. But worst case scenario, ACL. Best case scenario, plays Thursday night. And then we heard that, ACL was intact. Structurally, it was there. There is a sigh of relief. A huge sigh of relief at that point. Okay, I can breathe a little bit. Then we heard from James Palmer that, depending on the swelling, anywhere from playing on Thursday night to maybe a couple of weeks. And I will tell you this. When we signed off yesterday, now we know there's a chance he can play tomorrow night, and Jason Kelce saying, I think he'll be good to go. We'll see. It's week number 1. He may be good to go, but there's also an element of protecting the player from himself. I know that he has been waiting. He hasn't played a football game since the Super Bowl. Last time he was out there was the mountaintop. Now they're celebrating and raising the flag and all of that stuff, and I guarantee you he's going to want to do everything he can in his power to be out there and to be playing in that game tomorrow night. But there's an entire season to think about. This is not a back injury that happened at the end of a practice on Friday, and you're getting ready for the AFC Championship game against the Bengals. That is different to do whatever you can to be out there to play, and if it means you can't play the next week or the next week, McCole Hardman, whatever I can to go and play because this might be the last game of the season. He goes out there, plays a number of snaps, catches a ball, re-injures himself, done for the year. But if he waited and waited, maybe that one catch, butterfly effect. Who knows what happens on that? This is not the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl or divisional round or anything like that. This is game number 1, week number 1 of what the Chiefs hope is 20 games this year. Or 21, depending on, the bye.
Yeah.
Whatever that might be.
20 would be great.
They want to play till February 11th or whatever the date is in Las Vegas. There is an element of protecting the player from himself, certainly. So he's going to do whatever he can to be out there. But it was a huge sigh of relief yesterday. And when we signed off, when the show was over, if you would have said, hey, Jason, you can settle out of court right now, he's out for 2 weeks. He's out for the Lions game and he's out for the Jags game. Would you take it? Sign me up. I will take the plea agreement right now. I'll serve the time. What do I need to do? What's the deal? Sign
2 weeks
me up
in
right now.
Gray? Absolutely.
Hey, I will. If right now with the hyperextended his knee, not sure they're looking at it right now. We'll just see how it goes. Well, he hyperextended his knee. Well, he walked off on his own power. Yeah, I've seen players who've torn up their knee that walked off on their own power. I've seen players react as if their knee was blown out, that then it was like, oh, actually, you just sort of tweaked something. You're going to be back in 7-8 days. I've seen Joe Burrow look like he blew out his Achilles.
Yeah.
And it was a really bad calf strain, which is great for the league and great for the Bengals and great for Joe Burrow, obviously, and NFL in general, and the rivalry, and the AFC. I don't want to see Joe Burrow go down. I want to see Joe Burrow playing for the Cincinnati Bengals. I want to see Travis Kelce playing for the Chiefs. I want to see Patrick Mahomes. I want to see Josh Allen. I want to see Jalen Hurts. I want to see the best players in the NFL playing. So you never know just by, well, he walked off on his own power. That's fine. We've seen that before. So the reports started getting more and more positive, and then Jason Kelce this morning making it even that much more positive. We'll see when they recheck it today with the swelling going down. But I think there's a I think there is a close to 0% chance that the Chiefs release information to any media members that the ACL is intact if they thought there was a chance when the swelling went down and they checked it again that there was structural damage to the ACL.
Yeah. You have to know on the level of severity. You cannot underreport that.
Yes.
And then Ian Rappaport today, Kelce mentioned Jason Kelce mentioned it in that clip we just heard, but Rappaport also tweeted out again today, bone bruise, which is something we talked about some yesterday that changes the timeline and all of that. So I still, looking at that 2 weeks out timeline, I don't look at that and cringe anymore. The other thing is, I'd love to see him play tomorrow night. I wanted to watch Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones in that order probably in this game on Thursday. I wanted to see the whole unit together that way. Kelce can be in street clothes and be there for the banner ceremony and all of that. And man, how weird will it be? We haven't seen him on a sideline in street clothes for a game that counted maybe ever, certainly to his rookie season. because
Yeah.
the game he missed was a COVID
Right.
game, which I have the stat line for that we can talk about
do
at some
wanna talk
point.
about that.
Man, it's delicious. But right now, you can say Travis Kelce, who's about to turn 34 years old, he can sit out this first game of the year, have 10 days before the Jags are even a concern, and really make sure things are good. That to me, I'd sign up for that right now, and I really did not expect Jason to sign off there the way he did with, I really think he's going to be good to go tomorrow as long as that swelling comes down, and that's great medical care and NFL veterans who know their body, who have played through everything. If this didn't happen on a day that practice was going to get reported anyway because you have to report your practice status, but if this could have happened behind closed doors, not on a day where just earlier in the preseason, maybe we may never hear about this. And I certainly don't think Andy Reid comes out and calls it a hyperextension. So I am left very optimistic, and even if he doesn't play tomorrow night, I feel great about his chances to have 10 more days to get healthy for Jacksonville.
I mean, Jason Kelce talked about it right there. In the middle of the season, they were doing a bonfire. He kicked a piece of wood, hyperextended his knee, bone bruise, didn't miss any time.
Middle of the season.
And wasn't ever reported or anything because it wasn't a practice injury. And, he said the dumbest thing that he may have ever done, which there's probably plenty of dumber things than kicking a piece of wood, trying to break it, thinking that, I'll just kick this thing. And he's in much better shape than anybody else has probably tried to kick.
He has a better chance of successfully kicking a tree in half also.
I would guess
that man's got offensive lineman thighs.
He probably thought that he was going to be able to split that piece of wood in half.
I still think he could.
Yeah, I think he probably could as well. Anytime you're talking about the knee, and we'll see about the swelling and things like that, and I don't think the Chiefs would put him out there if they thought it was an issue. If he
100%.
plays tomorrow, the Chiefs are confident that he's going to be fine. If this was a playoff game, I would be 100% convinced he's playing tomorrow night.
I agree.
There was no stopping Patrick Mahomes from playing against the Bengals, no matter how severe that ankle injury was. Yep. And as we found out, there was no stopping Travis Kelce from playing against the Bengals, even when he woke up on Sunday morning thinking there's zero chance I can play today. I cannot play today. I can't get out of bed. The back is that bad. I'm feeling it every move I make. Anybody that's had an issue with the back before knows how debilitating that can be. And he played because it was the AFC Championship game. These guys oftentimes are warriors. And, they have a threshold of pain that is unlike most people, unlike the average person. It's weird because I feel a little bit like Jamar Chase when he was talking about Joe Burrow.
Yeah, me
when
too.
He said, I don't want to see Joe Burrow in week number 1. Like, there's a part of me that's like, I don't want to see Travis Kelce tomorrow night. I mean, obviously I want to, but you get the point. I think there's that wrestling that you do with most everybody that'll be watching the Chiefs tomorrow night that are either fans or analysts, whatever it might be. It's like you want to watch them play because you want to watch the best players in the NFL. You want to watch the best people go out there and be at their best. Prime time. But it's full season, man. It's a long season, Josh.
And again, Travis Kelce turns 34 in October. The Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase thing is kind of funny. We kind of joke around with it a little bit, but you know what's not going to happen in October? Joe Burrow's not going to turn into a 34-year-old tight end. And
that would be amazing.
It would be amazing. It would be a real Freaky Friday thing.
Why would he do that?
But it would
He's not
probably
going to
be
make
bad for
nearly
him.
as much money as he is if he signs his contract.
And I don't think he'd be as good at tight end as he was at quarterback.
What if that's the threat?
a
Either
short
I
list.
sign a new contract right now, you give me my demands, or I become a 34-year-old tight end.
I age like 8 or 10 years and change positions.
Immediately.
But that is really it for me. It's not even just Kelce against the Jags or Kelce in December. It's all and look again, he has been unbelievable at keeping himself on the field with the people around him and how he takes care of his body as successful as he had to this point. It's really unbelievable. But I want Travis Kelce to still look like Travis Kelce in December. I want Travis Kelce to still look like Travis Kelce for week 1 next year.
Yeah.
I mean, he talked about playing till the wheels fall off. And so if you have a wheel that's a little squeaky right now, one of these wheels is wobbling, I would go ahead and fix that wheel up. Not surgically speaking.
Yeah.
I would let that wheel get to exactly where it needs to be, so you're also not overcompensating to something else. Because how often do we hear that? You've got something on your left leg. I don't know if we know what knee it is for Kelce also. Did that ever get said yesterday?
I think it was his left
Okay,
knee.
so maybe it's out there, but generally speaking, you have something happen with your left leg, and then your right hip is screwed up a month later, or now your right hip and now your left ankle. I mean, there's just all of that little overcompensating kind of stuff. If it's just swelling and there's not enough pain in his knee to actually be overcompensating and he can just play tomorrow, I'll be happy to see him. I do actually think that the combination of him knowing his body as a 33-year-old who's been in the NFL a long time and a Chiefs coaching staff and training staff who knows who Travis Kelce is, how he usually feels and needs to feel, all of that stuff. They've got all the information. I feel pretty good about them making the right decision, but I am so much more worried about December Travis Kelce than I am September Travis Kelce, just in part because of the info we got in the 20 hours between shows.
What was the what knee was the microfracture surgery? Was that his left? The only reason
That's a great question.
The reason I thought left is because somebody had said, "Hey, he's had an issue with this knee before," and went back to 2013, but that was 10 years ago. I mean, 10 freaking years ago since he's had that. So I don't think it's anything like re-injuring that.
Literally 10 years.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
to me, it's not a concern with that. To me, it was just thinking of which knee it was. That's all, and it really doesn't matter whichever knee it is. Get that one healthy. He can have mine if he wants. It's not a great one, but
it's not going to help.
Yeah, he can have my knee. And take away whatever the bruise is there.
If it helps in any way whatsoever for me to hyperextend my own knee just for his own mental state, I am willing to do that. I'll go kick a log.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know how it goes.
Right. Let's hear before we take a break Ian Rappaport on the Travis Kelce injury. This is the latest update from Ian at NFL Network.
Travis Kelce, all eyes on the star tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs after suffering an injury in practice yesterday. This is a rarity. Usually the practice the day before the game is kind of a light practice, a jog through. He suffered a hyperextended knee during practice. Now, sources say there is no structural damage here, not considered to be a long-term injury. That, above all, I know we're talking about tomorrow night, but above all, that is the most important thing for Travis Kelce. That said, there was some swelling, I would say some real significant swelling that needs to go down in order for him to get back on the field. He's going to be reassessed today, and obviously game designations will come out today as well. So perhaps we will know more, but he has not yet been ruled out for Thursday night's game.
So there you go. That's as of this morning. We'll find out. I think it is brilliant strategy by Travis Kelce to have everybody focus on his knee and not Chris Jones. It is smart. It is being a team player. That is what leaders do. And that's Travis Kelce for you. It's a team. Take less money, hurt your knee, whatever it takes for the team. That's what Travis Kelce does. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. If Travis Kelce does not play, Chris Jones is not playing. The line is at 4.5 for the Chiefs right now. How many players would the Chiefs have to lose before you go, you know what, I'm picking the Lions now to win? We'll talk about that next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. 37-hour pregame already going on. Brought to you by Quad Power Products. Call them at 816-965-8925 or online at quadfluidpower.com. That is Quad Power Products. And going up until kickoff tomorrow night with, news, information, interviews. We'll have predictions, all of those things throughout the day, today, and all night tonight. Overnight, we'll continue with the coverage right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Text says, can we get the swelling down in 95's head? Text says, I've seen a dude get shot and walk it off. So,
Wow.
That's probably right. Text says, did he injure his left knee, his right knee, or his wee knee? I think it was his left. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. So who knows what is going on with that. 913-912-4810. 913-912-4810. I'm laughing at that text. I'm just not going to read it.
Oh, that's the worst. Oh, I can't see the screen Jason's reading from right now. So
I'll show you.
You dear listeners who are currently saying, just read it, Jason. I'm with you. Although I'll find out during the break, hopefully.
Well, you'll find out during the break. You'll know that, which is great for the listeners to go. Thanks, Josh knows. Who cares?
See, that's right now I am on the side of the listener.
That's right.
And the break will come, and then I'll switch sides again.
How many players?
I love this game.
No Jones, no Kelsey.
Here's my one rule for you.
If we're assuming Kelsey does not play tomorrow night, and we know Jones is not going to play tomorrow night, so how many players do we get to before? I mean, obviously the number can't be just, well, it's 10. Well, who are the players? Nick Jones, and you're already going to deactivate 6 of them.
So here's how I want to set the bumpers on this game from a bowling perspective. You can't just decimate an entire position group because it's just not very fun that way. But if you make it, how many best players per position in each position group could the Chiefs lose before you would say, no, I'll take Jared Goff over Patrick Mahomes? Because we all agree the Chiefs' 3 most important players are Mahomes, Kelsey, and Jones. Maybe you can argue about the order of number 2 and 3, but those are the ones. But there is such a gap between Mahomes and everybody else that Travis Kelsey and Chris Jones, assuming they both don't play tomorrow, we're still taking the Chiefs, right? Spoiler alert for tomorrow's predictions?
Yeah.
I'm leaning that way. Well, what if it's also Kadarius Toney? Well, we didn't know if he was going to play anyway, so I was still going to pick the Chiefs then. What if you lost Creed Humphrey? Well, that would be really tough. I mean, he's probably, your tackles are important, but they're both newer. So let's say Creed Humphrey's the most important, or at least the best O-lineman. Well, Nick Allegretti's been around for a while. They'll call up Boston Ryder. You know what? All right, Chiefs by 3. What about running backs? Well, we all loved LaMichael Pirine an hour ago. Pacheco's been, all right, Pacheco's out. I'm still taking the Chiefs. Well, that's defensive lineman. That's Chris Jones. He's gone already. No Nick Bolton.
Can you take the next best?
Ooh.
Can you throw in like Karlaftis after Jones? Jones is already gone.
Maybe.
You say, well, Jones is already gone, but how many do you start to – because then you do start to debilitate that defensive line.
See if we could get through one guy of each depth.
Okay.
They've won without Harrison Butker, so we can go ahead and bring Matthew Wright back or whatever.
I don't know about that. I think Butker might be – it might be Jones, Kelsey, and Butker.
He might be fourth.
Might be the one.
Hey, let's say Drew Tranquill can play the mic, all right? All right,
Okay.
fine. I'm still taking the Chiefs even if they don't have Nick Bolton or any of those other guys. Maybe you're missing L'Jarius Sneed. Well, we were preparing for that anyway. I bet they'll be okay. Safety? All right, well, so now Mike Edwards is starting for Justin Reed. Maybe somewhere in there. Maybe somewhere. Maybe around the final position group, your confidence begins to wane. But holy bleep, the Patrick Mahomes effect is a lot of weight on one side of the scale.
There's no doubt that it's Patrick Mahomes that does a lot of the heavy lifting for a number of different things. And does a lot of the heavy lifting of, well, they have Mahomes, so I'll probably still pick them at home. Season opener, Chiefs will score a lot of points. And Patrick Mahomes, 12 out of 16 games in the month of September, he's thrown for 3 or more touchdowns. I'm assuming he's going to throw for 3 or more touchdowns tomorrow night, which, by the way, DraftKings, over-under Patrick Mahomes touchdowns, 2.5, plus 135 right now.
All right.
I have a rule that if you get plus money on Mahomes over 2.5 touchdowns, I take it, no matter what. And so, yes, without that number is shot up without Kelsey. So 2.5, it was like minus 110 or something like that. With the news of Kelsey, now it's at plus 135. Go ahead and put some money on that one because Kelsey may play.
Especially in September because these are the push pass
Yes.
gadget touchdowns
Yep.
that are kind of cheap a little bit as
How
well.
often is there a goal to go, first, second, third, whatever, that he throws the touchdown pass? It's not. I mean, we talk about all the. Just run it in. Why can't they just punch it in? Just hand the ball off, reset the line of scrimmage, a yard deep into the end zone, and just score that way. Why do you got to have these fancy little throws and all this stuff? That's what they do.
To get it over 2.5.
Yes.
Can't get a yard, you can't play in the NFL.
That's right.
The old saying.
If you can't get 1 yard, you don't deserve to win. But they got 502 other yards. Yeah, but they didn't get 503. You don't deserve. They outgained them by 275 yards, not 276. You don't deserve to win.
Are you sure you can throw 3 touchdown passes without Travis Kelce? Let me go back in the Wayback Machine. Daniel Salib tweets this yesterday. The last game Travis Kelce missed was Week 16 of 2021 due to COVID. The Chiefs beat the Steelers 36-10. Mahomes was 23 for 30 with 258 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. The leading receivers in that game were Byron Pringle and Derek Gore.
Can I piggyback off that with an
Please.
answer to your question, Jason?
Yes.
It's Mahomes, and that's basically, as long as he's out there, I will always feel confident betting in them for this reason. His first ever NFL game.
Yeah.
He beat the Broncos starting team with the backups.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Briefly, Tyler Bray tried to give it back, and then he came back again, and all was well.
And it does matter the competition level, too, because the Lions are good. They are a sexy pick to be, a playoff / maybe NFC championship game, maybe winning the NFC this year. So they're a good team. If they were playing like a slappy or something like that, then it'd be like, all right, Mahomes can figure out how to go. Like if this was the Colts or something, like we saw a year ago, I know they lost that game. But if you would have gone into that game and said, okay, the Chiefs just lost 6 of their best players, I think there might have been putting the cape on for Mahomes, and who knows what happens in that game. But just because there's a bleep you, I refuse to lose, even in games that he does end up losing. He's not going to be perfect. It's a matter of going into the game saying what's more likely to happen, the off night or what we see 85, 90% of the time or even more, which is Mahomes being special. And if Mahomes is special, you're always going to have a chance to win. And one of the things that I have talked about that the Chiefs have benefited from constantly as to why I think they are such good drafters, or their drafts have been viewed as good as they have been, is because you can draft for traits, and if you're able to coach those guys up and put them in positions to be successful based on their strengths, then it looks like, wow, you just hit a home run with this particular player. And maybe you did. Or maybe you might have to move some things around and put another player in and try to take advantage of his strengths and coach him up to a place where he's good enough to play and holds his own and is not a net negative in that game. And then you add in Patrick Mahomes. I don't know what the exact number is, but I think a lot of it is 15 playing or not. As long as he's playing, depending on opponent. Because if Jones and Kelce and Snead and Creed Humphrey are out and they're playing the Bengals on the road, yeah, I'm not picking the Chiefs.
Sure.
They're playing the Bills, I'm not picking the Chiefs. They're playing the Eagles, I'm not picking the Chiefs to do that. Against the Lions at home, as Mahomes once said, I'll see it when I believe it, that they lose that game. And they may. They may lose that game. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
coming up with the Kansas Speedway Hollywood Casino 400 this weekend. Driving the number 15 Rick Ware Racing Ford Mustang and the Jungle Law car coming up out at Kansas Speedway. JJ, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me. I just came to the realization that when you do AM radio, you got to talk fast to make it sound good.
That's right.
Does it make it more exciting?
You know what?
Way?
And it would be one of the best broadcasts that I've ever heard, and I think it's fantastic, are the racing broadcasts and the national broadcasts of NASCAR when they're going down into turn 3. The production is amazing, and how quickly they are able to fill up 10, 15 seconds with as much information as possible. So maybe I don't know, maybe I take after that a little bit just from hearing those. It's one of the best broadcasts on radio.
It absolutely is. And, obviously love coming to Kansas Speedway, one of my favorite racetracks. And this can be extra special this particular week. I've got one of your local favorites, Jungle Law, is come on board. So finding my race car on the racetrack will not be difficult because it will be similar to some of the billboards you see on the side of the freeway. So I'll be loud and proud, and the Jungle Law car will be easy to find even at 190 miles an hour.
The paint job, we were talking about that when the show started, is pretty brilliant. What do you when you saw it, what was your reaction to the paint job that'll be on your number 15 car?
Well, the end product I think is fantastic. The middle process, we were way out there. We had full zoo going on the car. We were monkeys and snakes and very elaborate. But when we finally got down to what we were going to see on the racetrack, for Tristan and Lauren and the principals there at Jungle Law, really came down to a really cool design. Like I said, the brightness of the car will be second to none on the racetrack. So hopefully we'll be able to get a good setup in it. Typically, the qualifying well is a big thing when they come to Kansas Speedway. It's a little bit difficult to pass at that racetrack. We typically run right against the fence. So track position, qualifying, super important. So, our teammates, which is the Roush Fenway Keselowski guys, they've been on fire here of late. So hopefully they'll be able to get us pointed in a good direction with setup, and we'll have good speed when we unload from the truck.
JJ Yeley's our guest. Do you think maybe you'll be a little bit of a fan favorite this weekend by having the number 15 car out there with Patrick Mahomes rocking 15 here in Kansas City?
I certainly hope so. I know that I think your guys' season opener is on Thursday.
Tomorrow night, yeah.
Hopefully that goes along well, and we can carry that momentum with a W into Sunday's event. But it's a number. Hopefully, like I said, it's good for him. It'll work for us. And there's unfortunately I have 35 other guys out there that I have to beat versus just one other team.
JJ Yeley's our guest. Partnership with Jungle Law with the Hollywood Casino Kansas Speedway coming up this weekend. If you weren't racing, what would you be doing right now?
Oh man, that's a tough question. I've been doing. This is my 20th season in NASCAR. I've been driving a race car. Ever since I was in grade school. So, if I had to quit racing, which I don't see that in my foreseeable future, the closest thing would be the days of like driving a taxi in New York. But there's really not many taxis left, so I don't know. I would probably be the coolest, craziest Uber driver, and I would be the fastest. I would get you there way ahead of any of the Waze times or anything we use for GPS, but. I don't know that my stars would be very good because I'm sure most people would be holding on for dear life.
That would be amazing. You know what? I would request you each and every time. Does regular driving bore you? If you're just out like driving with the family or something, is it like, somebody else drive? Because I can't, not to use the song, but I can't drive 35 right now or 55 or whatever it is. I just can't drive this slow. Does it bore you on a regular drive on a weekend?
Honestly, I don't have a problem speeding. So I haven't had, knock on wood, I haven't had a speeding ticket in decades. Wow. So good there. I do really struggle with the frustration of the people that are either going slow in the fast lane because they just lost the concept of it's a fast lane for a reason, or the person that can't maintain a speed. You know, that guy that's like 70 and then 30 and then 50. Yeah, I want to run that guy off the road. So I'm not a violent driver, but I will give plenty of dirty look as I'm going by, which my wife, always yells at me like, "It's stupid. Why are you giving them a dirty look?" It's like, I want them to know that I think that they're stupid. If they can't tell by the look on my face, they should roll the window down, and I'll tell them.
Man, JJ Yeley's our guest.
Stars, they're just like us.
I mean, kindred spirit, JJ Yeley is our guest. If I had $1 for every single time I needed to pass somebody, and my wife would look at me as if, like, you don't have to look at him. Yes, I do. I do, honey. I do have to look at them because they need to know there is an issue right now, and they are the issue right now. They need to know that.
JJ, your thoughts on the zipper merge?
Do you think that has to do with just a male instinct?
Maybe. I don't know. It just she's like, you have to look at him every time, don't you? Yes, I do. I'm sorry. I do. All right. They don't know the difference between a yield and a merge. That's their fault. All right. I need to let them know that. It says a yield. That's not a merge, okay? They're the ones that cut in front. Look, honey, I only get mad when our family is in danger, as far as you know, okay? When another car endangers our family, that's when I get upset. That's when I get annoyed and frustrated. But, man, it is, God, that is so true. J.J. Yeley, my new favorite driver, with the partnership with Jungle Law, the Hollywood Casino 400 coming up at Kansas Speedway. God, that is so. You know what? When we're traveling, we'll travel out of town and have these longer drives. When you talk about maintaining your speed, how many times if you're like on cruise control or something, do you see the same car like passes you, and then later on you pass them, and then they pass you again? It's like, dude, I've been driving the same exact speed this whole time, and you've been flying past me and then falling back and flying past me. That is so true. Just pick a speed, man. Just you can follow me or pick a faster speed, and I'll follow you. That's great. As long as I know you're going the same speed.
Well, again, as much as we travel, it's not just one particular region. It can be
true.
On the East Coast, the West Coast. It typically happens more on the East Coast. We have 95 that connects everything along the Atlantic. So, if we want to take a nice family trip and go to, Florida and go visit Universal or something of that nature, typically I will pass the same car a half a dozen times. Almost 90% of the time they're from New York or New Jersey, so apparently they don't drive very often there. It is what it is. Like it takes all types of people to make the world go around. I fit somewhere in that category. Definitely not perfect, but definitely not one of those people.
Yeah, that is great. JJ Yeley's our guest. The Hollywood Casino 400 out at Kansas Speedway is coming up this weekend. He has the partnership with Jungle Law, the number 15 car. So if you're out there, be rooting for him. Do you have a preference to or a favorite sort of car that you drive or a vehicle? And actually, before that, you said that you've been racing since grade school. Like, how old were you when you started, and were you not supposed to be driving in races that early? Like, I don't know how soon that you can start racing, but if you've been doing it since grade school, I wonder if you had to change some papers around or something.
Well, oddly enough, I had started when I was about 9 racing quarter midgets and go-karts, which is the pretty typical, route for starting kids. Now, I did have a fake driver's license. I had a fake birth certificate when I was 14, saying that I was 16 in order to race locally in Arizona. Thankfully, we carried our insurance. We didn't, obviously didn't want to put tracks at risk for faulty paperwork that I had. But I did have 2 16th birthdays, so I was emancipated at an early age so I could race. So my entire life has definitely been dedicated to the craft of being a race car driver. And thankfully enough, I've been, talented enough and caught the breaks and luck and opportunities to make a career out of it.
That's awesome. JJ Yeley, the partnership with Jungle Law, the Hollywood Casino 400 out at Kansas Speedway, number 15 car. JJ, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it. We will certainly be rooting for the number 15 car coming up this weekend. Thank you, and hopefully on your drive to the track, the left lane, the passing lane will be clear. People will understand the difference between a yield and a merge, and they'll be able to maintain their speed along the way.
That would be fantastic. I might just bring a sign with me that I can hold it up against the window in case they can read. They may not be able to read, but it'll be there to help them with any help that they can have. And then, Sunday's race 2:00. looking for good things to happen.
JJ, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it. This was a blast. Thank you for joining us, man.
For sure. Thank you.
Absolutely. There's JJ Yaley, number 15 car, and my new favorite driver. So I will be rooting for the number 15 car.
That lime green with stripes and spots on it.
For the foreseeable future.
Yes.
I will be rooting for the number 15 car. It's interesting, like, when he talks about, like, putting a note, and I know we got a break, but putting a note or something, I wish they would invent, like, like, you know, that, like, ribbon that you could see, like, at restaurants or something, like the digital ribbon that just goes along. It'll say, like, Royals 5 and White Sox, 3 or whatever. I wish you could type something or voice to text as in, like, hey, dude, you were at the four-way stop before me. So don't look at me when you're holding everything up. You were there first, okay, jackass? Or, you're on the opposite side. So we're going in opposite directions at the four-way stop. You start to go, and I start to go. You might have been there first. We start to go. But if you start cutting left in front of me, don't honk at me when you didn't have your turn signal on. I don't have to wait for you if you are going straight.
We just need 3 horns. We need a good job horn, a bad job horn, and a neutral horn. There's a really long podcast bit that I could refer to, but it'll take the rest of this entire show. But good job horn.
Your turn
and a bleep
signal
off horn.
Was not on.
Yeah.
That's on you. If your turn signal was on, yes, you were there first. I shall wait. I know how it works. Can I just write that? Instead of my wife getting mad because I have to look at him?
WHB Kansas City.
Have you been having trouble staying on top of your fitness recently? Intimidated by the typical gym environment? I used to have that problem too. But I've been eating healthier recently and also working out with my friends at Base Camp Fitness. Base Camp Fitness provides short, effective, 35-minute coach-led workout sessions while maintaining a positive, fun environment to be around. They're now officially open in Overland Park at 135th Street. Make sure and tell them Lebo sent you to get a 15% discount. Call 913-232-9770 or go to basecampfitness.com to learn more.
Hey guys, Matt Coker here from West Coast Men's Health to let you know that you don't have to take Viagra for the rest of your life. Acoustic wave therapy has changed the game. Trust me, I've seen guys come in who have completely given up, only to see them back in the game after going through our treatment program. So call West Coast Men's Health today.
Call 913-243-3200. That's 913-243-3200. 913-243-3200. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Attention, Chiefs fans. Football returns on Thursday when the reigning champion Kansas City Chiefs host the Detroit Lions at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. And you don't want to miss it. Head over to ticketsforless.com now and shop the best selection of Chiefs tickets, parking, and VIP tailgate passes. And save big with no service fees. Plus, score bonus savings when you use promo code 810. That's 810 at checkout on your next order at ticketsforless.com. Every seat holds a story. Find yours and save at ticketsforless.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Get wings the way you want them. Try Twin Peaks wings, bone-in breaded, naked, smoked and grilled, or boneless in your favorite sauce or rub.
Whether you... The Zone is brought to you by Guaranteed Foods, official sponsor of Family Mealtime. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe, Dylan Michaels, heading up until 2 o'clock. Thank you to JJ Yaley. That was fun. Kindred spirit, man after my own heart when it comes to driving. And he'll be driving the number 15 car coming up this weekend, driving the number 15 number, or I guess I should say number 15, driving the Chiefs up and down the field. That would have been better. Can we fix that in post, Dylan? Yeah. It'd be great before we put that podcast up. You'd be like, that was an amazing segue. We talk now with Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. We start our weekly conversations with Cynthia here in the Zone. Cynthia, how are you? Welcome into the show.
Woohoo, we made it. We finally made it to real games. We're going to see some football here in just over 24 hours. It's great.
It is season eve. We've done it. We've got here, and the Chiefs, the last team to play, now the first team to play. So Chiefs fans have had a shorter offseason between games than other teams have had, but it still feels like a long offseason when there is no football. So we are here. We've made it. We just don't know who's going to make it on the field for the Chiefs tomorrow night. So, there's that.
I mean, I think that they probably know. They probably have a good idea, and you got to remember, Andy Reid coming off a very long bye like this one, I think that they'll be able to figure it out. I know that it's not great news. I'm just more worried about, like, the long term, what the bone bruise mean. I'm not a doctor, so I always look at those things and I'm like, what are they trying to tell me here? Like, how bad is this?
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, yesterday, when they said there was no structural damage to the ACL, I'm like, I'm good. Well, there's a bone bruise. Okay.
What does that even mean?
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I've had bruises before. I don't know that the bone has been bruised or not, but I've never heard of somebody missing the season because of a bone bruise. I don't know. Knock on wood. So once that happened, and I said I said today on the show, like if yesterday when we got off the air, Cynthia, at 2 o'clock, when this whole thing was sort of breaking around 1:15, 1:20 local time, when Andy Reid was talking, said, you know what, if you would have told me he was going to miss 2 weeks, which was part of the report last night, is that he could play tomorrow night or miss up to 2 weeks with the swelling, I would have settled out of court immediately. Like, Travis Kelce's out 2 weeks, not knowing what the severity is. They're looking at the MRI. I will take 2 weeks and settle right now. So the fact that there's even a chance that he plays tomorrow night is as good a news as I could have expected when this whole thing was happening 22 hours ago.
Yeah, it was dicey, especially with Chris Jones. And, I mean, look, the good news for the Chiefs is that the Lions are also missing a ton of the pieces but we just knew about them. It just doesn't seem, our recency bias, right? It seems like, oh, no, it's this big loss right away. Yes, absolutely, Travis Kelce would be a massive loss. But Chris Jones, they've been planning for a while, it would seem, right? So, the Lions, remember, they're missing Jameson Williams. And, by the way, they're asking a rookie tight end to take over some pass catching, I would imagine. And then they've got 2 new running backs in a system that love to run the football and use a lot of different run concepts. And by the way, Deuce Staley's now in North Carolina. So we've just known about these changes longer.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Cynthia Freeland is our guest. Chiefs with and without Chris Jones. The eye test, we see that. We know what it looks like. The numbers certainly back that up. What kind of a team are the Chiefs when Chris Jones is on the field and when Chris Jones is not on the field, if there is a chance that he does hold out through the first 7 weeks, and it doesn't look like anytime soon, but if he misses the first 7 weeks, what kind of an impact would that be for the Chiefs on their overall sort of season projection?
Yeah, the AFC in general is a total nightmare, so that would be a bad thing, a very bad thing. Maybe in this one particular game, I mean, look, the Lions last year, they used 6 O-linemen at the 3rd highest rate in the league. So teams will just probably see, well, if that works for the Lions, if they use extra O-linemen and it actually, helps, or they don't even maybe need to use extra O-linemen, they'll get clues from this Detroit offense on how to attack the Kansas City defense without Chris Jones if that should persist. It's not good. Yeah. It's not good to miss that guy.
Yeah. How much of an advantage do you think there is, if at all, not having Chris Jones is an advantage, but they don't lose him in game? You had mentioned that they've been preparing, and last year when they played the Bengals, first drive, L'Jarius Sneed goes down, and there was talk about maybe L'Jarius Sneed traveling with Jamar Chase or traveling with T. Higgins, one of them.
Yep.
And all of a sudden the first drive he gets injured. Well, that's a big change to your game plan and what you installed and what you've been going through throughout that week leading up to that Bengals game. this is one to where the Chiefs have been planning to play without Chris Jones because he hasn't even been practicing or anything. It's not a Travis Kelce. Is there, silver lining? Is there something there to where Spagnuolo at least can plan, can prep, can scheme around not having number 95?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, we already saw how impactful, like Nick Bolton, for example, can be. And asking, it might change the shape of the formation, right? Like where Chris Jones lines up, there's not a one-for-one substitute that you're going to put there in any way, shape, or form. But there are a lot of teams, and actually the Philadelphia Eagles did this at times, switching out that defensive front for situational downs. And that is a potential opportunity here to create like different looks against different types of offenses and leveraging the people that are there, because it's not like there's no talent there, right? It's not like it's Chris Jones and no one else. It's a really great opportunity for these guys to have to rethink it. So then once Chris Jones, I hope it doesn't last anywhere near that long, but once he does come back, then the whole unit will be stronger.
With the Lions, are they typically a quick passing offense? Are they the Jared Goff 5-7 step drop, taking a little bit time in the pocket? Because I ask that because I kind of expect the Chiefs to blitz a little bit more than maybe even Spagnuolo would do without Chris Jones out there, just to try to manufacture, to create pressure, and maybe go a little bit lighter with 6 defensive backs. But whether that be L'Jarius Sneed or Trent McDuffie or Shamari Connor, the rookie, blitzing from the slot, or a linebacker blitzing, or Reed or Cook from the safety spot blitzing, I just think there's going to be a lot of that to try to confuse Jared Goff. Is it an offense that's going to be equipped to that, to where you're blitzing, that's fine. We're doing these quick passes like we've seen from the Jets with Aaron Rodgers and the offensive line issues. Would blitzing affect the Detroit Lions offense, or are they equipped to handle that?
Well, the Detroit Lions offensive line is actually, and I'm from Michigan, it's like really weird to say this out loud. The line is actually good. What? I'm sorry, excuse me?
Weird.
But the line is an asset for them for maybe the first time that I can ever remember in my entire life. But they also, they use they really only, so if you look at the alignments from last season for Jared Goff, he's either under center, he did that at the highest rate, or out of the shotgun. There's really he doesn't what's the word I'm using? They don't use a lot of different, they won't, no pistol, nothing. So when you're looking at that, it means that they're really trying to get perhaps Amon-Ra St. Brown to create some separation running out of the slot and then do a quick pass to him, or potentially Jahmyr Gibbs, who the thought was when they drafted him, especially at such a high place, that he was going to be an explosive playmaker and be leveraged in these catch-and-run situations so that teams could be confused. Ideally, Jameson Williams would have stretched the field, and then teams could have been confused kind of more towards the middle.
Yeah, and with him not there, obviously that's going to be different because the Chiefs
Correct.
won't have to worry about that.
So yeah,
they don't have a burner on this team, right? Obviously, it's not Marvin Jones or Josh Reynolds or anything. I don't know if there's a younger guy out there.
It's not those two.
Yeah, no.
I don't know who else could be, but it's not those two. I don't think.
No, if they just bring somebody out there and say, "Hey, just go run fast. Just run fast. Now you're Forrest Gump. Just run straight, run fast." And if we throw you the ball, catch it, but at least give a threat that you're going to do that. Because if that's not there, I mean, that certainly changes the way, we saw with the Chiefs. And last year when the cover 2, the shells that were happening, and we were wondering a year ago at this time, what would the Chiefs look like? Did they find a way to figure out the cover 2, the shells, the 2 deep safeties, the things that we were seeing that were whether confusing or limiting the Chiefs' offense? And now there's no Tyreek Hill. What are they going to do? And Patrick Mahomes just destroyed the shell coverage last year. And then it was, okay, so what if teams start to just play up? What if teams start to play 5 to 10 yards and don't respect anything over the top? Then what's the next step for the Chiefs? And I do wonder about that this year for the Chiefs, if teams start to say, okay, well, I know you've been killing us from 5 to 15 yards, but there's no Tyreek Hill, there's no McCole Hardman. I know MVS is there, but we'll figure that out later. We think we can handle that in a one-on-one situation if that's the case. Without Jameson Williams, is there an opportunity for defenses to say, well, we're just going to crowd, we're just going to play up close, and if Amon-Ra St. Brown catches the ball short, we're going to have guys there to tackle him because we're not worried about 25, 30 yards down the field?
Yeah, it would seem that way. I will say the one thing that the Lions did well last year was they actually managed to run a lot of different run concepts, and they were very good at all of the ones that they ran. So they were good at figuring out how to make the run work, basically. But remember, that was with Jamal Williams typically in the red zone, and he is now in New Orleans.
Yeah. How do you think they'll use Jahmyr Gibbs? Will it be he and David Montgomery on the field at the same time, and Gibbs like as a wide receiver? I know we've heard that they're going to use him in different ways, or he's the main running back and just your typical running back. He'll run the ball, he'll catch some screens, get the ball out of the backfield, and maybe limit what's on his plate early on in the season?
I mean, I would imagine that we're I think fantasy drafts have us underestimating David Montgomery's role. Because, Jahmyr Gibbs, if you play in PPR, of course, you're going to want to target him because theoretically he would catch more passes. But you also have to remember that the Lions brought in David Montgomery in free agency before the draft and were sort of thrilled to be able to get Jahmyr Gibbs. So that's kind of tells you their mindset. So they were building from probably a foundation of leveraging the fact that their O-line is good and running off Montgomery and then potentially Gibbs being like I don't know. That's my guess based on kind of everything I've seen, but it's going to be interesting to see if they can get him in those explosive moments for bigger gains because, the 10-plus yard gains on the run on the ground, that's a big part of the game, especially when you're missing so many pieces in the pass catching element.
We've talked about running backs and the value and how devalued they've become and not necessarily a dime a dozen. Running backs can make a difference. Not every single running back's the same. We've talked about that around here and with you. And drafting a running back in the first round has been a topic of conversation around here for a few years for obvious reasons. But Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs both selected pretty high. And there was questions about, look, if Bijan Robinson is there at number 31 for the Chiefs, can Brett Veach, could he pass up on that? And obviously he was not there. It wasn't close to him being there. But taking a running back that high, you take a running back that high because you don't view him in a traditional running back sense, right? You would view him essentially like I think the Christian McCaffrey contract was perfectly fine because he's more of a weapon rather than just hey, we're going to hand the ball off to him, 15, 20 times a game. It's how many touches, ways you can use them, issues that the defense have to account for. Is that where taking a Bijan Robinson, taking a Jahmyr Gibbs changes the calculus a little bit on the value because they're not just simply hey, this guy is going to be your traditional running back. No, we're going to line up outside. We're going to put him in the slot. We'll have different ways that we can use them here and there and not just what we used to know running backs as.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I still don't know. I mean, Bijan, if you watch that Texas film, Bijan caught a lot of passes and he lined up truly out wide, not just screens, right? Like this guy was running wide receiver routes. So he has some versatility that reminds me more of he's kind of like the reverse Deebo Samuel. You know what I mean? He was like the inverse of that or reverse of that or whatever. And so I think that that's how they view that talent, especially if you're Arthur Smith. You don't have enough of a high enough pick to get a quarterback, but you don't have enough wins to say we're just one player away. So let's go back to my bread and butter, which is having a good running back. That's what I think happened with Bijan. But then when I'm looking at Jahmyr Gibbs, I think actually what happened is the Lions had him really high on their board. They thought they could trade down to get him. And then right, wrong, or indifferent, I think they thought someone else was going to take him. So that's why they drafted him there. I don't think that they, perhaps they put him down in the 30. Who knows, right? But right, wrong, or indifferent, I think that they were like, well, we just want to stick to our board. And because the Jack Campbell one after that is confusing too, right?
Yes.
So at the end of the day, I think that they're just old school. I say that with air quotes, right? That was their strategy, to stick with their board, and they maybe got some intel saying someone else was interested in Gibbs. If that's true, I don't know, but that's probably what I think happened.
Yeah, that is interesting about this team that, they have 2 first-round picks and they come away with a running back and an off-ball linebacker. It's just not necessarily the highest value.
I didn't love that as an analytics person.
Yeah.
I didn't love those moves. They had better time in subsequent days. They did a better job in subsequent days, but, it was a little, you're in an up-and-coming team in the NFC, which is so much easier than the AFC this season. You have a chance to really make a splash, and that's what you pick. I don't know, just very, very confounding.
Yeah, and you know what? It's interesting from that standpoint because, we were talking about running backs in the first round being a topic of conversation around here for a reason. And when the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill and they, got so many different draft picks to go along with that, one of the things that we discussed, and then it happened again this year, is, okay, so the Chiefs have these draft picks, and instead of using them on different positions that, maybe aren't as valuable, they've used those higher picks on cornerback, defensive end, wide receiver, defensive end, wide receiver, tackle, cornerback, cornerback, defensive end, safety, defensive back, tackle. Like, these are the positions that Brett Veach has been focusing on. And maybe that's just simply, hey, it's circumstance. They're losing Orlando Brown, or they don't know the future there, or right tackle with Schwartz and Fisher gone, and cornerback, they got to replenish that. Well, they traded Tyreek Hill. Maybe that's just sort of circumstance that it's doing that, but they certainly have focused on expensive free agent positions to draft a number of those guys and sort of throw numbers at it. A couple of second-round wide receivers, a couple of first-round defensive ends, a first-round cornerback, safeties, cornerbacks at different parts of it. That Brett Veach has certainly taken that approach over the last couple of drafts.
I mean, and, you have 2 Super Bowls in 4 years, and the Lions haven't won a playoff game in my lifetime. So, let's talk about creating strategies. Like, sometimes if it doesn't work, you have to change what you're doing. But if it is working, perhaps Brett Veach is onto something out there.
Yeah, that's the Chiefs had 7 picks in the draft this year, and they had a defensive end, a wide receiver, a tackle, a defensive back, a defensive end, a cornerback, and a 6th-round defensive tackle. So there's the one spot. Out of all of those, 6 of the 7 were cornerbacks, defensive backs, tackles, wide receivers, defensive ends, those players that cost a lot of money. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert, is our guest. Is Chris Jones worth Aaron Donald money if that's what he wants? If that's what it takes to get Chris Jones in and playing this year, not sitting out 7 weeks, would it be worth saying, okay, let's just pay him that much money? Or is Aaron Donald's contract so much of an outlier that it doesn't really reset the market? Because if it would have reset the market, Cynthia, wouldn't Quinnen Williams and Jeffrey Simmons get more than, $6, $7, $8 million less than what Aaron Donald, received?
Well, I mean, the Rams, it's so interesting because think about the Rams this season, right? They are very depleted. It's a very different team than the one that won the Super Bowl. They were this time last year. The game was in L.A. because they were the Super Bowl champs. It can go strange in a hurry when you pay certain things and you don't have money for other things, right? So I would argue that it's all about structure of the contract. I don't know what the hang-up is. And same thing, you're seeing it with Nick Bosa. Like, you're seeing these people who, they're very valuable players, but the structure of the contract, and by the way, as outsiders, we kind of don't really know because the number that gets reported is usually reported by an agent, and they have a vested interest in saying, like, the highest possible iteration of what the thing could be. Like, if you win every Super Bowl and make every Pro Bowl, like, every single thing, not, like, what's more realistic and what will count against the cap. So while I think Chris Jones is absolutely worth, like, he's an instrumental piece to this team. I don't know if I think that the Aaron Donald deal is good for – I don't know how it's structured. I guess my point is he's right up there, but we have to know the structure. And I would argue that if you can get a deal done for Patrick Mahomes, and you got to probably think about, how are we going to pay him again somewhat soon, because I feel like there's a ticking time bomb going off in Cincinnati for what's that going to look like. And you got to start planning for your future and getting all the different – like, you got to stay good for years, right? Yeah. So Patrick didn't take a I'm going to use the word mean contract. He didn't take a bad contract. They created a structure that incentivized winning, but also incentivized him to be, stay being the GOAT. Yeah. Right. So like, it's all about structure. And I think some of these things, it's like, perhaps we need those contracts are very, very tricky, but they're tricky on purpose. But usually when something's tricky, it's not always great, right? So simplify the contract, make it something they can both deal with. Because I don't think Chris Jones wants to sit at home.
Yeah, I can't imagine he does. I mean, that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for him to do that because he's losing money, and he's losing money that he's never going to get back. I mean, that's just the economics of it. Like, if he gives up $1.1 million by not being here for the game tomorrow night, he's never going to get that $1.1 million back because logic would tell you, Cynthia, that if this is what he's being offered by the Chiefs right now this year, it would be less than that one more year into his career by being a 31-year-old. Now you're offering even less. Like, the most money he's going to be able to get in his career for a long-term sort of guaranteed deal is probably the one on the table right now. And then you'd be giving up money along the way just to simply give up what is the best contract you could possibly get right now.
I just have so just in general, if we take like a macro look at like what's going on economics wise in the NFL, like the cap went up 8%. People forget that like they see these huge numbers and it is a big number, but it only went up 8% year over year, like a little more than 8%. So then you see these quarterback deals. And by the way, Mahomes now not on one of these that would be considered like really crazy. Like those are going up like 18, 19%. So somewhere has to get pinched. So you see running backs getting pinched for sure, but you also see let's change the way that this is structured, because as much as I think every business would like it if their top line money went up 8% each year, but not if the cost of doing business is going up 18%. So you have to figure out like, okay, let's sit down and do a structure that works for everyone, because no one wants Brett Veach doesn't want Chris Jones not to play. Like Andy Reid wants Chris Jones out. Like everybody wants him out there. It's just we got to like come to the table and, the representation, I don't know who his representative is, but representation needs to like be creative, especially at this ninth, last minute hour here.
Yeah. Cynthia Frelund is our guest, NFL Network analytics expert. So when you talk about sort of money allocation at different places, and that's just simply from, the structure of the contract for Chris Jones, how it helps out the overall team, or Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, et cetera, the money allocation has been a conversation around here because Juwan Taylor signed a deal for $80 million for 4 years, which is $20 million per year, and Donovan Smith is playing left tackle on a 1-year, $3 million contract. My view has been I don't care where you're spending the money. It's sort of like the overall offensive line. So if they're paying $23 million in cash this year for their tackles, well, that's perfectly fine if you're getting really good tackle play from those players. If you're getting if you're paying elite money for an average player, that's when you get into trouble. If you're paying average to good money for an elite player, well, then you're staying ahead of the game. Does it matter to you if the Chiefs are spending $20 million at right tackle and $3 million at left tackle? And how much are we seeing maybe the evolution of our view of the blind side when so many of these pass rushers are lining up on the left side of the defense going up against right tackles?
I mean, I think tackle needs to be like tackle. Like you need to get the O-line right. You know what I mean? Like I know that people don't like this, but I even think depending on what type of quarterback you have, like guard play actually matters. Remember, for a long time, the Saints paid their guards more than they paid their tackles because Drew Brees, who wasn't as tall, he needed better guard play than tackles. So that's where they decided strategically that they would invest in the guards relative to the average salary of a guard, and then they would forfeit spending on tackles as much. Point being is you have to just be okay with your strategy. And Patrick Mahomes erases a lot of problems for you. You still need a nice O-line from him. You can't give him, I'm afraid for Aaron Rodgers and that Jets O-line. I'm curious what I'm going to see behind that. But you got to give someone a serviceable line. And there will probably come a time when, 20 on the right and 3 on the left, I'm sure that'll get sorted out when it needs to get sorted out. But the truth is you need to figure out where your strategy is because you can't spend at every position. Yeah. So I think that what you're seeing from the Chiefs is by drafting all of these key players who are on more favorably termed deals, rookie deals, et cetera, and then bringing in strategic free agents, this Chris Jones issue, you knew it was coming because we talked about it last year. You knew it was coming. But, apart from that, everyone else seems to be in pretty good shape, right? Like, you're hearing about it. Yes, I understand. But I also think that because, Nick Bosa and Chris Jones both holding out kind of makes it more like a stronger argument than if if only one were holding out.
Cynthia Frelund is our guest, NFL Network analytics expert. All right, Cynthia, final record for the Chiefs. You're looking at the season. What do you think their final record is? Still not knowing about Chris Jones and Kelce and all of that stuff, but what would you guess the record for the Chiefs?
I'm going to be optimistic and say that it doesn't last, that Kelce's issues don't last past 2 weeks, and that Chris Jones comes back within 3 weeks. I halved them, right? I was a little conservative with Travis, and then I halved it for Chris. So I think that that is easily a 13-win season. My win projections will be lower because, remember, they add together, if it's 58% and 62%, whatever, you only get to add 0.58 or 0.6 to each win. But ultimately, I think, easily number one in the AFC. Now, again, if Chris Jones takes an extended time or if Travis Kelce takes an extended time, then it would be tougher. But I still think that the Chiefs are the team to beat in the AFC, which is very hard because the AFC is a nightmare.
It is. What do you think happens tomorrow night? I almost said tonight. Man, I wish. What do you think happens tomorrow night with the Chiefs and Lions?
I think it's a nice, convincing, at least a touchdown win for the Chiefs. I had a higher scoring game until these injuries, and for sure, well, not for sure, no Chris Jones, but I don't know. I don't know when it becomes for sure, but I don't have Chris Jones. I don't know the technical, when does it technically? I don't know. But no Chris Jones, and I say no Travis Kelce just to be conservative with my estimates, which actually slowed the entire pace of the game down.
Interesting.
And that pace brought the total to be a lower total.
Okay, interesting. And then since it's the first one of the season, who wins the Super Bowl? Who over who do you have this year?
So I took I went with a very with my models, I went very, I did a lot of volatility this year because I wanted it to see what happened. And while I have the Chiefs winning the AFC and having the bye, I actually have the Buffalo Bills and the Seattle Seahawks appearing in the Super Bowl, which is a wild Super Bowl.
Wow, Bills and Seahawks. So you've got the.
I'm going to need Chris Jones to come back. That actually shifted it. I'm telling you, it was so small between the Chiefs and the Bills that Chris Jones tipped it in favor. Like if he somehow comes back even sooner, it would switch that. But I can only go with what I know right now.
Interesting. So Chiefs get the number 1 seed. Bills win the AFC. Do Bills beat the Seahawks?
The Bills beat the Seahawks.
All right. We'll see what happens. Bills over Seahawks for Cynthia, and a convincing at least touchdown win for the Chiefs tomorrow night. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. Always appreciate the time. Love it. And excited for our weekly chats as we get this thing started.
So excited. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. There's Cynthia Freeland. Great stuff. Again, NFL Network analytics expert, one of our favorites week in and week out to hang out and talk with Cynthia. Bills over Seahawks in the Super Bowl this year for Cynthia. A 13-4 record for the Chiefs. I liked this, though, when she said she's going conservative with Travis Kelce and saying he's going to be out 2 weeks. She halved what could be Chris Jones. You can't say 3.5. So 3 weeks, Chris Jones misses. So Kelce misses 2 weeks. Chris Jones misses 3 weeks. She says that's easily a 13-win team with Kelce and Jones combining to miss 5 weeks. Still easily a 13-win team. She loves the Chiefs, but there's also that volatility that comes with the playoffs. So we'll see. There you go.
Would you like to hear from Chris Jones?
I would.
We can get a lot closer to that, but how about this for a tease? I have a quote from Chris Jones for you.
Okay.
Opinions are like buttholes. Everyone's got one, and they all stink.
Will we hear him say that?
At some point we will. I don't know if we'll hear that just yet next, but he is speaking, and there are some tweets from the 810 account and some others. He's at the Ronald McDonald House, and he's doing a full-on press conference, basically, just standing at a podium.
Okay.
So we'll have a lot more to go there.
Very good. Briscoe's got buttholes that stink with his opinions. I'm talking about opinions. Your opinions.
Plural.
Everybody's got opinions. Opinions. Everybody's got opinions. That's the old doo-wop from 1952. Where's on next?
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe, Dylan Michaels. Thank you to Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert, analytics insider. Is there an analytics insider? She's inside analytics, is Cynthia Freeland. Chris Jones is inside Kansas City right now. He is here. He is in the area, and he is holding a press conference and saying that his goal has always been to be a Kansas City Chief for life. For life. Some other quotes, Josh, that we're seeing from Chris Jones that's there from this press conference. He is working with the Ronald McDonald House, and with the flags being sold today on a Red Wednesday, he is back in town for that event. Mm-hmm. The Katz brothers are also in town with Chris Jones, so maybe this is an 11th hour. Let's get something done so he doesn't lose $1.1 million, because that would be dumb advice from his agents, because that's money he'll never get back. So maybe that's going on. At the same time, he's there for this event and decided he will hold a press conference.
Yeah, asked if he feels like he had let his teammates down. He said, how? And then turned focus to trying to get a raise and an extension. Just a lot of that terminology over and over, that he's tried to be, what his goal is to be a Chief for life, and was just looking to get a raise. Obviously, a little fact check is that he's been offered several, large raises, so he's looking for a specific one. He said that he, quote, may be playing or may be on the sidelines in tomorrow's season opener. Been working out twice a day. Said he could play today if necessary. We'll see. We will have audio from all of this just as soon as things like cell signal contribute to the cause. So we'll hear from him shortly, I believe.
Yes. I will say that there is a difference between Chris Jones and other people at work. So let's say, for example, let's just use this company, for example, okay?
I always use a paper company because The Office is my best approximation.
Yeah. I never worked there, so I wouldn't know the ins and outs and the details of a paper company.
I watched the documentary.
So that'd be more difficult. If I were just to simply say, you know what, I want a raise. Okay, that's great. A lot of people at work ask for a raise in different companies. The difference is asking for a raise and saying, I'm not going to work until I get it. Therefore, others have to do different things that wouldn't necessarily be on their plate. And in theory, if you're good enough to ask for a raise, then you are of some value to that organization. So then the theory would be you are making that organization, that company, that business lesser than by you not being there. That is the difference between Chris Jones and just any other walk of life when people ask for a raise. Not too many holdouts in companies when people ask for a raise. Now, not too many people have value like Chris Jones does to a certain company. And if they did, and they felt like I can ask for a raise and it's just, they're not going to fire me, a lot of people would get fired if they just simply say, I'm not showing up to work until you give me a new contract and a raise. A lot of people get fired. The real world, business is not the same as the NFL. But it's also not as easy as saying, well, a lot of people ask for raises at work. Yeah, a lot of people do ask for raises at work. A lot of people also have to realize you're only worth as much as somebody's willing to pay you. And right now, the Chiefs have told you what they're willing to pay you.
And you have a specific number of options in this weird, restricted little workspace that is the NFL.
It is different with your workspace. It is different with a lot of people's workspace. But if I just decided, well, I'm going to sit out and, not show up until I get a new contract, one, they would find somebody else to do the job. But two, then, okay, now Josh is doing more stuff. Okay, well, maybe Jack comes over and does more stuff. Okay, well, people that'd be working at night or whatever. This is during the football season. Okay, Josh, well, now the full host, 24/7, plus you're doing a Chiefs, post-game show. Oh, Soren's sitting out too, so now you're doing pre-game show. And we also need you to help out in the afternoon show as well.
Am I Mike Dana?
That's right. And we got other people that are doing these things. Like, yeah, that would be the company example of, well, I'm just asking for a raise.
And obviously, again here, I mean, the biggest reason that is not a very motivational term for me is that you're not, again, Chris Jones isn't just asking for more money or for a contract extension, for guarantees, for stability. the goalposts have been moving left and right, front and back, over and over and over throughout these negotiations. And again, I think there's probably some amount of blame. You can slice this pie into different pieces on, you have the agents who are or maybe should be pulling the strings. You have the team who has their best interest in mind and they've got a line in the sand. You have the player who may not be leading negotiations but does actually employ the agents. So you can kind of figure out, I don't know if it's 33% apiece. I don't know where that extra 1% falls. I don't know if it's 80, 10, and 10, who you want to blame for this being where it is right now. But this is the first time we're hearing from Chris Jones with any amount of meaning throughout this entire process.
Yes.
I mean, we saw him at the ESPYs when we heard that little tidbit with the Katz brothers there around him in the audience. We saw him at the White House hanging out with Frank Clark, who's a Bronco now. From the clips we've seen, I'm very excited to hear the audio, and we should have that whenever. I don't know, Dylan, you can let us know when we got it. I know you're having to commune with the wizard behind the curtain there to get that all figured out, but I still don't know if, after we just heard from Chris Jones for a period of time, I still don't know if we know exactly what he wants. Like, I still don't know if there is clarity to what the issue is, because the Chiefs have offered a raise, and I'm not saying $1 raise. I'm saying we're talking about three. We're talking about starting from scratch. Here's 3 years of essentially guaranteed money. Where guarantees in the 70s.
They're offering him $54 million over 2 years after this year is over. They're offering him $74 million over 3 years.
And I understand when you look at this year's part of the bucket, you got to keep in mind, he's not making $28 million in new money this year. That's a lot of a prorated signing bonus, so it's not all new cash. But there's a lot of guaranteed tens of millions of dollars that are right there. How far away are you from deciding that, like you mentioned this earlier, that you're willing to lose money you're not getting back to make a point? It's very confusing. We can take a break and come back and hear from Jones if you want. We can kind of
let's do that.
Kind of dance around and get that all sliced up.
We'll take a break. We'll hear from Chris Jones coming up next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
from Chris Jones. He was helping out with the Ronald McDonald House today. So here is the Chris Jones audio in its entirety.
Tell us why it's important for you to be here.
To support the children, most importantly. That's what it's all about. That's why the partnership with McDonald's was so remarkable. It's an opportunity to give back. Also, I love Big Macs. Big Macs for sacks.
Chris, can you give us a sense of where things stand right now with the Chiefs and your contract?
Can't really talk about it. Hopefully it gets worked out. It's always been my goal to be a Kansas City Chiefs for life. I've said that multiple times on social media platforms, from interviews, and they know where my position is at, and hopefully we can get something worked out for the long term.
Been frustrating for you?
Not at all.
Describe what it's been like.
It's been okay, peaceful for me. I've been in Miami, just training, staying focused, understanding that this is a process.
You miss your teammates though, and your guys. All the OTAs, mini camps, and all that stuff. Do you miss that part of it right now?
I've been keeping in contact with my teammates. I'm still working out every day, still doing similar things that they do in training camp. The camaraderie, we got a lot of new players. Miss that aspect of it, but I'll be ready to go when that time calls.
Chris, do you feel like you've let your teammates down at all? That's the criticism. That's the only criticism I've heard at all.
How? That's what I got to ask. How have I let them down? It's just like when you're at a job and you ask for an extension, right? And you ask for a raise, right? You're not letting anyone down. Who are you letting down for asking your boss for a raise, right? So when you take the personal feelings out of it, you kind of can get it. All I'm doing is asking for a raise.
What's the plan for tomorrow for you? Are you gonna watch the game?
I don't know yet, man. I don't know. Could be playing. I could be on the sideline. I don't know. We'll see tomorrow.
Chris, is it still your intentions to be with the team in 2024 and future years, or will this conversation sort of change maybe your ongoing look about maybe playing your entire career with the Chiefs?
Well, I know for right now, I'm under contract this year. That's an answer for Clark Hunt to make.
What would you, I guess, what are you hoping to get most out of the negotiations right now from Clark, considering what you guys have talked about so far?
Well, I asked for an extension. Unfortunately, that haven't been brought yet. So we'll just see where it goes. We got a whole year ahead of us, and things change. Situations could change in a year. So right now, I'm under contract for the rest of this year, and we're just going to make the best of it.
I know how much you love and enjoy playing football, but how odd will it feel if you have to take the holdout fully to 8 weeks to not be with the guys, if that what you feel is necessary?
We don't know yet, man. This is week 1, right?
Yes.
So we'll see where it goes.
Chris, can you explain why it's not possible to be in with the Chiefs and negotiate at the same time?
I didn't want to be a distraction. I could have done a hold in, but that's even more of a distraction. I'd be there holding in while all the guys are there, you know what I mean? Just a bigger distraction.
Is there any scenario in which you would show up before a new contract extension that you're seeking?
We shall see.
You look like you're in shape. You look like you're really. What do you weigh? Are you ready to go out and play?
Man, listen, I can play right now. I'm good. I work out every day, twice a day. Been in Miami with my team that I normally be with in my off season, and I'm staying at it, man. Staying at it.
Chris, how much perspective does it give you? You're in the middle of a conversation about money, and you're coming today to spend the day and spend some time with kids who, in some ways, have had limits for their life. Talk a little bit about that perspective.
Yeah, the perspective is, respectfully, I work for the Chiefs. And most importantly, it's about giving back to the community, the kids, the youth. But respectfully, whatever's going on with the Chiefs is completely different from this right here. So once we understand that, we can able to come together and make something happen for the kids.
Chris, just to be clear, you haven't asked to be traded or anything like that as part of this whole thing?
I haven't said anything, man. I just been enjoying life.
You said week 8 too. I mean, is that still a legitimate timeline? You mentioned
We
that
shall see, man. Right now it's week 1, so we should see how this thing goes. Things can change in a amount of days. There's 24 hours in a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's 24 hours for feelings to change, positions to change, and situations to change, man. All we can do is take it an hour at a time, right?
Chris, when did you find out Frank Clark is going to Denver, and has that impacted how you see Kansas City?
Absolutely not, man. Frank is like a brother to me, someone I hold dearly and close to me. We still keep in contact. Actually talked 2 days ago. me, Frank, and Colin Sanders on a FaceTime. So those are my brothers, and respectfully for their families, they have to take a better offer, you know, and I completely respect that. That has nothing to do with me and what the Chiefs have ongoing.
What's your message to Chiefs fans?
And what can I say? Opinions are like buttholes. Everybody got them and they all stink, right? So, you know, and some gonna like it, some gonna respect it, and some is gonna dislike it. That's just the way it is. You can't make everybody happy, unfortunately. As much as you try to do and as much as you try to appease people, you're not gonna make everyone happy. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. And I'm just asking for a raise, right?
Chris,
Thank you.
sometimes
One more question.
There's
Please.
animosity sometimes in situations like this between like the general manager and the player because you know it's a negotiation. How are things between you and your team and Brett Veach at this point? Has there been progress involved in this time?
I don't think there's no animosity between me and the Chiefs organization. I think there's just a little disagreement. You know, I'm asking for a raise. They feel like this is what I deserve. I feel like I deserve more, and just a misunderstanding.
Is it getting closer?
I hope so.
How much feel like it's getting closer?
Final question, I would say, what do you hope your visit, sorry, I got in front of you. What do you hope, the last question, your visit brings to the kids and families at Ronald McDonald House today? What do you hope you do for the folks inside this building?
What I do best, bring a smile to their faces, happiness in their heart, and love the Chiefs Kingdom.
All right, there's Chris Jones. Boy, a lot of stuff to take away from what he said there. Tons of stuff to get into. We will continue the show here on this Wednesday edition, the season kickoff eve. More right after this.
Kansas City's favorite sports station, 20 years and counting. Sports Radio 810 WHB, Kansas City.
Hey, this is Les Norman, host of the Breaking the Norm Show. I want to invite you to join me Saturdays at 7 a.m. on Sports Radio 810 and Tuesdays on ESPN Kansas City 94.5 FM for uplifting and positive sports stories and a whole lot more. We can all use a boost to our day, so why not be motivated and inspired by the stories of the good side of sports, entertainment, and life? There's a whole lot of good out there. Every week, now in our 12th year, it's Breaking the Norm, presented by TruckMovers.com and First Federal Bank of Kansas City.
Hi, I'm Steve Hedgepeth with Quad Power Products. We know that time is money, and we pride ourselves in getting our customers back up and running quickly. At Quad Power Products, we can duplicate your hydraulic hose assemblies while you wait, in most cases getting you back out the door in 15 minutes or less. We have an excellent inventory of hydraulic hoses, quick couplers, and adapters, and we pair it with the best customer service. Come see us today, Quad Power Products on Hickman Mills Drive, just south of...
more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
So in the break, I was really surprised that Josh said he's going to come on the air and say he's going to announce a hunger strike until Chris Jones signed his contract. I thought that was odd that you said that.
One more. I'm going on an insulin strike.
Now, that would be dumb.
Your move, Chris Jones.
That would be. Noah Gray actually will step up like, hey.
You should really.
Look, maybe don't. It's not worth it, okay? He's just asking for a raise.
I'm eating no
That's
carbs,
all.
and I got a few days here, I think. We can make this work.
As Chris Jones said, a lot of things can change in 24 hours. Feelings, situations, all that can change. Like
blood sugars.
Yes. Living, not living can all change in about 24 hours or so.
Yep.
Which is 7.5, 24, so 31.5 hours away from this season getting started. 31.5 hours away. Our 37-hour pregame continues going on, presented by Quad Power Products. Call them at 816-965-8925 or online at quadfluidpower.com. Quad Power Products.
Also brought to you by Bob Allen Ford. All Fords created equal. It's your dealer that makes the difference.
Right.
And the University of Kansas Health System, the official healthcare provider of the Chiefs.
And Travis Kelce, who we'll see if he is out there tomorrow night. Chris Jones says there is a chance he could be on the field or on the sideline tomorrow night. If he signed right now, he could play tomorrow night. Look, he looks like he's in great shape.
He does. There's a chance I could be on the field tomorrow.
I'm not, I less likely for you.
Is it?
Yeah, less likely for you to. Well, I don't know. You could go out there and streak. So
That's
you know
what I'm saying, man.
The difference would be if Chris Jones is out there, he's getting a pay raise. If you go out there, you're paying some money.
That's right. Might be worth it.
You're coming out of pocket for you to go. Well, you wouldn't have a pocket on you, but you would eventually, when you put clothes back on, you'd have to take something out of your pocket.
I'd have my opinion there, though. Everybody can see my opinion.
Yep, and it stinks.
It sure does.
They all stink.
Tying yourself to a goalpost might work. That seemed to work in the NBA the last season.
No, because then the Katz brothers will just move it.
Well done. Very well done.
Jason's horizontal. Should we pull him up?
I'm dead. That got me. That got me.
Thank you.
That
Thank
one
you.
got me.
I'd like to thank the Academy, my family, God.
I was thinking of saying, well, you can just glue your hands to the field like they did at the basketball game, but then they would just take the field. They would just cut that part out. And it's like,
They were just called the Sod Father.
That's exactly right. That actually happened at Super Bowl.
Eddie Mangan did this.
In my hands.
What if it's Eddie Mangan actually?
Ooh,
It's like, now how bad's the turf? You got to avoid this guy who's 6'1", 190. You were slipping around the turf over there. Now avoid a human.
Oh, look at Eddie Mangan. I'd do that to me.
Broken ribs because they keep kicking him as they're running by. It's a dumb thing to place yourself at the 40-yard line.
Really silly.
It's not smart. All right, so Chris Jones said just some highlights of the press conference from Chris Jones. He can't talk about it. Goal is to be a Chief for life. It's been peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
It's been okay.
Peaceful for me.
Down in Miami, staying focused, training.
Not frustrating.
He keeps in contact with his teammates. He does miss the aspect of the camaraderie and the fellowship of being there at training camp and around his teammates. Asked, do you think you've let your teammates down? And he responds, how? Just asking for a raise. I'm not letting anyone down. All I'm doing is asking for a raise. You ask for a raise at your job, your work. Not letting anyone down. All I'm doing is asking for a raise. We'll come back to that. Saying that, also saying he could be out there, could be on the sideline. 2024 saying, I'm under contract for this year. That's a question for Clark Hunt. Also something we will come back because that name is different than Brett Veach. Says things change, situations change in a year. Right now it's week 1. We'll see where it goes. When asked about, will you sit out the first 7 weeks, first 8 weeks? Yeah, we'll see where it goes. It's week 1 right now. Things change. A hold in. Didn't want to be a distraction by holding in. Then he also said more of a distraction. I don't know if that was a Freudian slip that he ended up by saying more of a distraction, if he's admitting that this is a distraction, because it would be foolish for him to act like this is not some sort of a distraction for the Chiefs. Asked if you will show up without a new contract. Could you play this year without signing a new deal? He said, we shall see. Did he ever ask for a trade? He hasn't said that, hadn't said anything. And then ask about week 8, we shall see. In 24 hours, feelings change, situations change, opinions like buttholes. Everyone's got one and they all stink. opinions for people they can like, they can respect, they can dislike. You're not going to make everyone happy. You can't appease everybody. Animosity with he and the organization, I don't think that. It's just a little disagreement. I'm just asking for a raise. So there we go.
Misunderstanding.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
One other little phrase there.
It's just a misunderstanding.
I hope it's not a misunderstanding. I hope everyone at least understands
I think
each
it's
other.
is it a misunderstanding over value? I don't think so. I think it's just a disagreement.
Yeah.
They don't misunderstand what the Katz brothers are saying Chris Jones' value is, and I don't think the Katz brothers and Chris Jones are misunderstanding what the Chiefs are saying the value is, because there's a specific dollar sign that's placed with that. What stands out? Let's go piece by piece, maybe highlight to, just in general. What's the piece that stands out the most to you, Josh?
The tone of it all, being the first time we've heard from him in a really long time, was going to be interesting regardless of what tone he struck. And it didn't strike me as a press conference of a guy the day before his team starts their season.
You know what the tone was to me? Oh, go ahead.
But that's just it was a lot more laissez-faire,
Yes.
which I didn't expect him to go out there and pound the table and to say, "Hey, Brett Veach, I know you're watching, and I got my agents behind me. Hey, agents, work with Brett. Brett, call these guys. I want to play." I didn't expect him to do that anyway. But it compounds the strangeness when virtually every bullet point down this list is just weird. It's just it's all weird because the situation is very strange. There is not a super graceful way of dancing out of this, and I think that this is probably more than anything else, it's just going to exaggerate the way people already felt, no matter kind of where it was, where you place some of the blame. It was good to hear from him directly, but I don't know if it cleared almost anything up.
The tone was a what? Who, me? Very that had that very feel to it of like, oh, what is that?
Yeah.
I'm just asking for a raise. I don't know why is this a big deal? What's everybody, how would it be a distraction to the teammates? Like, no, I mean, there's no animosity. I haven't asked for a trade. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 24 hours. I mean, I might be out there. I'm staying in shape. I'm ready to go. I've been training, staying focused, been in contact with teammates.
It's like I'm there.
What's the deal with everything? It had a very feel of like, what do you guys... What's the problem? I'm just asking for a raise here. A very innocent, sort of sheepish, what? Laissez-faire feel to the press conference. And obviously it's bigger than that because the Chiefs are trying to win a Super Bowl, trying to go back-to-back. And if you're just asking for a raise, my butthole says that they have offered you a raise. Right? I mean, isn't that true?
Get out of your chair and go hit that button, Dylan. Thank you very much.
He said his opinions. His opinions,
No,
and they all
that's right.
stink. My opinion. It's just my opinion
It's
that
your
they
opinion.
are they or are they not offering him a raise?
Oh yeah, no, they've absolutely offered him a raise. They've offered him a raise multiple times
Yeah,
over. They've had a
right.
negotiation. Look, I don't want to boil it down. I'm not saying you're doing this, but there's a way we could go down this path. Is we could boil it down to we could shave this down to such a blunt point that we could just bludgeon this over and over again.
Let's do it.
But we give it a week. give me a week or two.
Things change in 24 hours.
If we're doing this after the Chiefs are 1-1 after beating the Lions and losing to the Jags, then I think we'll go blunt force object instead. But even with it at that point, you can't. You've got to put the burden of proof on the person who is talking on behalf of the case he's making. And if you're Chris Jones and you say, all I'm asking for is a raise, and you appropriately point out, Chris, they've offered you a raise. Well, then at the bare minimum, we've now admitted, okay, yeah, fine. I wasn't just asking for a raise, and I wasn't just asking
more raise.
I wasn't just asking for my last contract, copied and pasted over these next several years. There's a disagreement about the cost, which I guess to some extent he copped to later when he said, I think I'm worth a certain amount. They think I'm worth a certain amount. Maybe that was when he used the word misunderstanding, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, that was a disagreement on what the worth is.
And so that's fine. You can say there's a disagreement as to my worth here. The question that I still do not have a fulfilling answer to is, what exactly have these last 2 weeks done to get you closer to that goal? Or what can the Chiefs do to get there? And what are you willing to do to meet them there? And again, man, I hate every way I've heard myself back in these headphones for the last like month on all of this. Because everybody does. But like this, I have never in my life been like, listen, this billionaire can't afford it. You got to make. But that's not really what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're really talking about, hey, here is the upper limit of what you are reasonably worth, not just as with last year in mind and the previous many, many years of your career and your current age and the Chiefs' current situation and the defensive tackle market for the rest of the league. Like, there are so many factors here. Which one are you unhappy with? Which one are you trying to move? And I don't know. I don't know that they know. I don't know that there is an answer. I don't know that they have one.
And he wouldn't talk about the specifics or get into details or anything like that about where they are, the negotiation or anything like that. So he wasn't going to get in specifics of numbers or Aaron Donald money. Do you want Aaron Donald money? Well, what's the structure of the contract? What is it to mean, Aaron Donald money? I mean, you can make it look like $31.8 million per year, and then the guaranteed dollars are not worth it for that particular player. That would be dumb. The agent wouldn't be smart to do that just so you can go, hey, I'm making more annual average value than Aaron Donald. Yeah, but they only guaranteed $5 million of that. Yeah, but it's cool though. Great. That's dumb. So Aaron Donald money has different meanings to the whole thing, depending on if it's annual average value, if it's guaranteed, if it's guaranteed at signing, if it's practical guaranteed, if it's years, dollars, new money, cash, all of that stuff. So we've talked about the raise and the distractions, and he's not letting any of his teammates down or anything like that. One of the other things that stood out was asked about being a Chief in 2024, says, I'm under contract for this year. That's a question for Clark Hunt. Now that's interesting and stood out to me because he's talked about Brett Veach. He's mentioned Brett Veach. Andy Reid says Veach handles all of those things. They've been in communication, or there is no communication, depending on the day that Andy Reid has talked about the latest on Chris Jones when he's been asked. At one point is, there's no communication. They got to start communicating. Now the update is there's communication between the sides. That's a question for Clark Hunt. Is that the biggest peek behind the covers of this negotiation, that Chris Jones and the Katz brothers feel like Clark Hunt is the holdup here? That maybe Brett Veach has and the Chiefs front office have ways to get to a number that Chris Jones or the Katz brothers feel like is okay, sort of cap-wise and all that, and Clark Hunt is like, no, we're not paying that. That's the guaranteed dollars we're not paying. We're not going up any $10 million more guaranteed dollars. We're offering them 74, and 55 of that is going to be guaranteed. We're not guaranteeing 65 or 66 dollars. The cash isn't going to be put in an escrow or anything. This is what we're dealing with right now.
I think that is a very important, maybe the most important 2 words of that press conference. And I have also done a little bit of digging back to something I remembered us talking about. The date here is 7/23/23, when Chairman and CEO of the Kansas City Chiefs and Chair of the NFL's Financial Board said, quote, "That's something that Brett Veach and his staff really handle. I'm not involved in that." When he was asked, what has your communication been like with defensive tackle Chris Jones as the Chiefs were kicking off training camp? We talked about how silly that was at the time.
Yeah,
I remember talking about it at the time of, this is the NFL's Finance Committee chair. Of course he's involved in all of this. He doesn't want to be. It's a lot better as the owner of a team. And I think this is a good compass for him, to be fair. This isn't really a criticism. The best team owners, you have a fuzzy picture of them in your head. You know the name for other teams right around the league. You don't want to know Jim Irsay. You don't want to know Dan Snyder. I'm already forgetting the name of the guy who bought Washington. It's Josh something.
I think it's Jim Johnson or Josh Johnson.
It's a Josh.
It's a Josh Johnson.
Harris.
Josh Harris.
Josh Harris.
Like I said.
Quarterback Josh Johnson.
I knew it was a Jim or a Johnson.
But that's the point. NFL owners who don't have, I'm going to loosely say, ego problems or don't own a team to be the face of it, they disappear into the shadows. Because the most important thing you have as a team owner is your fan base, who will relentlessly support your laundry, your jersey, fill your stadium, your team. That's consistent. Players change all the time. Guys in the ownership group, when Jim Irsay starts a fight with a franchise player, everybody knows about it. Everybody's talked about it. Nobody's talked about how this is about Chris Jones versus Clark Hunt. And I don't know that that's a fair assessment of it now. But I think Chris Jones said Clark Hunt's name on purpose. You mentioned Brett Veach later on. That is based on a true story there, I think.
Clark Hunt hasn't been talked about except for that press conference on July 23rd when asked about the contract negotiations with Chris Jones. In this whole thing, Clark Hunt hasn't been discussed. And Chris Jones says that's a question for Clark Hunt. He didn't just mix up Clark Hunt and Brett Veach.
Nope.
He's aware of the negotiations that are going on. 10 feet away from him were the Katz brothers, his representatives, right there. They're keeping him in contact of everything and up to date with everything. Obviously, they're working for him. So if there's a conversation with Brett Veach or Borgonzi or whoever else with the Chiefs and Tillis, and this is how it's going to be able to be structured through the cap, we can make this work, A, B, C, D, we can do all of these things making it work, but C and D are not on the table because we aren't going there with the guaranteed dollars or the cash or upfront money that you may be seeking right now. You're getting $20 million this year. Well, I'm seeking $50 million this year. Well, that's not happening. Neither is me playing then. Well, what about 2024? You're going to have to ask Clark Hunt about 2024. Because, and I'm parentheses giving my own commentary here, because if he agrees to the demands, then yes, I'll be here in 2024. If he's not going to do that, then I have no idea what 2024 is gonna bring. So ask Clark Hunt, because if you want me to answer yes, I'll be here in 2024, it's up to that guy agreeing to what we want. So that's an element of annual average value and guaranteed dollars and cash up front. What's the signing bonus to this whole thing? Does he want 40, 45 million in signing bonus?
I think you touched on the two things there. But I think Clark Hunt, he might not care about the practice squad moves as much. But, I mean, he is involved in the day-to-day, right? I mean, they from the structure since Andy Reid got to town, it was Andy Reid reports to the head coach, or reports to Clark Hunt, and the GM reports to Clark Hunt, right? I don't know how that changed when Veach took over, but Clark Hunt is involved to some level, I think probably, I would say more than your average NFL owner is, despite the fact that we don't hear from him as often as you hear from some of the more dysfunctional owners who are very involved. But when you are talking about, I don't know that Clark Hunt would veto a deal from 28 to 29 million average annual value, because he knows what the salary cap is, and they've got their projections for what he's going to end up paying in salary year over year for a very long time, I'd imagine. But that cash up front, when you have those prorated signing bonuses, what that means is over the course of up to 5 years on a deal, you are prorating that signing bonus. That cash is going to the player then. It's a signing bonus. But you can spread out that salary cap hit equally over up to 5 years of the deal. That's what that mechanism's there for. But that money comes out of the owner's account then. Guaranteed money that's not a signing bonus goes into escrow.
Yeah.
That means it's another little third party account here that is moving money right away. Guaranteed money is not money you can finagle your way out of either. Guaranteed money, for my estimation, not a hashtag sourcing thing, but my estimation is that guaranteed money is where Chris Jones is having an issue right now, because they're going to pay him handsomely year over year, but as an aging player, every extra year of guaranteed money you can get is hugely impactful to how much money you're going to make in the remaining part of your career. Of course Clark Hunt is involved, specifically in that signing bonus, current cash, guaranteed money section of it all, because he's paying attention to not just his team's finances, but again, the league's finances. And not just the league, but individual teams. Like, this is stuff that the Chiefs are very plugged into.
Some text coming in, 913-912-4810, saying it's Devon is the pronunciation of the Washington football team's new owner. Thank you for that. Also said it's the Clarks. I
almost said it earlier.
God, why didn't Chris Jones say you're going to have to ask the Clarks? You're going to have to ask the Clark family for that.
He might have gotten signed by the time he made it. It might have been a contract waiting for him on the Ronald McDonald House table.
Yeah. Text says, and I had the same thought. Text says, this has a T.O. driveway interview energy. So I had the same thought when it was like, hold on, Chris Jones is now holding a press conference. Because it was, hey, Chris Jones is going to be here, so we're going to head down there and see if we can talk to him. Then it's here's a podium, a microphone, and Chris Jones holding a press conference, which was not the plan. No. Another text says the press conference would have been way better if Jones was shirtless doing sit-ups during the press. I totally agree. Text says he hasn't let anyone down so far.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily disagree with that, although he's not going to play a full game tomorrow night, no matter what. So has he let somebody down by not being able to play a full game based on a contract holdout as opposed to injury? Debatable. If he doesn't play and they lose a game that you feel like could have been a difference maker, Chris Jones in that game, then yes, then you get him to start letting your teammates down. I don't think Chiefs teammates, maybe I'm wrong, I don't think the Chiefs teammates would say he's letting us down right now.
No, and I think
until you get into games.
And I think it's a good distinction that, yes, if they lose to the Lions and just Jared Goff has all day in the pocket and they put up 40 points or whatever, I think there will be an element of, hey, man, we expected you to be here and you weren't. You've let us down. That can change after week 1. It's not going to make the Chiefs want to guarantee him $15 million extra dollars.
Mm-hmm.
I think I may have said this yesterday, so maybe I'm repeating myself. But losing to the Lions changes nothing for the 2025 Chiefs. The 2026 Chiefs.
Yeah.
I mean, 2024 and 25 are probably already done. Maybe the year to year is flexible enough that it's not, and there's still more up in the air. But if Jared Goff throws for 4 touchdowns and 400 yards, the Chiefs are going to move an extra $15 million into a guaranteed column on their 26 salary cap. That doesn't make any sense. The only thing that I can see changing after tomorrow for Chris Jones is, see, I was serious, guys. I did it. I sat out for a game. And I'll keep doing it. Unless you want to give me that contract, which maybe I'll sign. Maybe I'm ready now. I don't know, man. We keep trying to find a plan or a pattern, and nothing is very sufficient to me.
A couple of texts and tweets, posts have mentioned, what if Chris Jones is calling or saying that's up to Clark Hunt because he wants Clark Hunt to intervene and going over Brett Veach's head and saying, Clark, you can help get this done. Let's do it. Essentially, we're at a stalemate with Brett Veach. Clark, do this. I don't read it that way.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily eliminate the possibility of that, but I don't read it that way because I think Clark Hunt and Brett Veach would be in agreement as to what level they can go to offer him a contract. I don't think Brett Veach is sitting there offering him a contract and Clark Hunt's going, I don't know, I'd offer him more, Brett, but
right.
If that's what you think, I'll let you do your job, but I feel like I've got some money that's burning a hole in my pocket right now that we can throw Chris Jones's way. I feel like we should help continue to reset the market at defensive tackle, like Aaron Donald, even though no other team in the NFL did that with younger players. They didn't come close to Aaron Donald. Not even close. So clearly, Aaron Donald's contract did not reset the market.
Yeah, good point.
It just proved to be such an outlier that the newest player signing didn't get anywhere close. Justin Herbert got more than Patrick Mahomes. These other players are getting more than Lamar Jackson, more than Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, more than Patrick Mahomes. Also, Deshaun Watson didn't reset the market either because Lamar Jackson wasn't going to sign unless he got fully guaranteed, and then he did sign without fully guaranteed. So sometimes there are outliers that just simply do not reset the market. Herbert's reset the market. Burrow's going to reset the market. Tyreek Hill reset the market. Before that, Devontae Adams reset the market. We've seen those contracts because guys continue to get close or get over that as they are like sort of players and ability. Nobody is at Aaron Donald's level, and Chris Jones is the closest to Aaron Donald's level. But is Quinnen Williams, are these guys that far away from Aaron Donald's level that they should be $7 million per year less? Some would say, yeah. But if he really reset the market, Quinnen Williams and Simmons would get 27, 28, something like that per year if that was really resetting the market. It didn't. And neither did Deshaun Watson.
And no one in their right mind disagrees that Chris Jones should be paid more than Williams and Simmons and the rest of those guys who are actually in defensive tackle territory.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the question of, is Aaron Donald a reasonable data point to include here? And sure, include him. And then get closer to Aaron Donald than you are to Quinnen Williams, or split the difference. Use that as another place you can calibrate here. I know that people are sick of the same questions that I keep screaming at the sky. I'm tired of asking them, which is, what do you want? What are you not getting? What are you not being offered? What does Clark Hunt or Brett Veach need to do to make this work for you? And again, I'm not saying Chris Jones should have opened the presser with his 95 theses. I don't think that would have fit actually, but I don't think it would have. I don't think it would have actually moved things along. It's just still not very clear, and getting to this point doesn't make it any clearer to me.
And I think something to be acknowledged when he says, that's a question for Clark Hunt, and we'll take a timeout and we'll examine this a little bit more. There's so many other angles and layers to this, but when he talks about Clark Hunt, the Chiefs are always at the top of the salary cap. They aren't, skimping from that standpoint. But if you look at sort of like cash spending and things like that, the Chiefs rank in the bottom third yearly in cash spending. And the Chiefs were near the bottom of the NFLPA survey about how well the players are sort of taken care of at the office, with whether that be meals or daycare.
They have real chairs in the locker room now with backs and everything.
They've done that.
That is legitimately new since that report card.
Yeah, which is what the NFLPA wanted, was to publicly call out some of the owners and then have them act. And that certainly has happened to some degree with the Chiefs. We know that tangibly with the chairs with backs on it. But when they're, one of the worst teams in the NFL in that survey, and they've been in the bottom third of cash spending every year, they can be near the top of the salary cap, but it doesn't mean that the owner is going out just writing checks everywhere and spending a lot of money. It could be that, there's a reason that, they're down near the bottom in cash spending, but near the top in salary cap because of how certain things are structured, and they aren't necessarily structured as in, here's a $60 million check right now, Chris Jones, and here's another $20 million that we're going to put in escrow because it's guaranteed. As opposed to, here's a guaranteed mechanism for Patrick Mahomes and a $10 million signing bonus. Right. Patrick, here's $10 million. We signed you to a $450 million extension. Here's $10 million right now. But every year I can put more money in escrow. There's a difference between, owners that have that are more liquid, and owners that have value in and their wealth is in certain things that they own that aren't necessarily liquid.
I think by and large, and this is where the void years come in and everything with some of these contracts this last couple of years, you're paying more up front and then stretching out the cap hit. The Chiefs are more responsible with their cap hits, but they're stretching out the cash, which I think is a fair place to ask some real questions of Clark Hunt of like, hey, like. So where do the Chiefs have the Chiefs at any point? I think the answer to this is yes. The specific examples are fuzzy, but have the Chiefs ever not been able to make a move that they would have otherwise liked to make a move for because of a cash-based reason, even if it's a free agency bid or just an offer the Chiefs couldn't make because that's philosophical. Yeah. Brett Veach knows what he's allowed to like. What numbers are flexible and what numbers aren't. I'm reading the tea leaves, but I think that's pretty obviously factually true. And so, however that ultimately shows itself is unknown. The part that works out great for the Chiefs is I think that specific deficiency is one that the NFL does not want to be debilitating, and that actually plays pretty well within the rules of the NFL because you are, like I said, more responsible with your salary cap. The Chiefs have made mostly how many big contracts have the Chiefs given out since Veach got here that you look back on and go, ooh, that was they got out at the wrong time there. They got in at the wrong time on Anthony Hitchens, but that was a bit ago, and he had a little bit of I don't know if he was ever worth that money, but you understood why they made that signing to kind of help install the defense or whatever. That might be the only real significant one. They left Tyrann Mathieu at the right time, near the top for him still, but that was not a deal they regret not making. They've largely handled all of this well, which is not to say that those aren't real questions about Clark Hunt and the cash flow, but it has worked out because I think that's a limitation you can succeed in the NFL with. It certainly helps if you have the greatest quarterback who's ever lived.
That makes a big difference. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. Mick Schaefer's going to join us in the 1 o'clock hour. We got ZOUs today before the show is over. More Zone next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 8.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll hang out with Mick Schaefer coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. KSHB 41 Sports Director. We got our Chiefs ZOUs we will do today, getting ready for the season. That starts tomorrow.
I would have taken the under on over-under half a Chris Jones press conference this week.
Yeah, I would have taken the under on that as well. Text says, I read it. Here's how much you can spend, and Veach is stuck. Sort of the just ask Clark Hunt. That's a question for Clark Hunt if I'm going to be here in 2024. So yeah, I would have definitely taken the under on press conferences for Chris Jones this week. He says that he would have had a hold in, but he didn't want to be a distraction for the teammates while doing a press conference in front of a Ronald McDonald House the day before the opener while he's holding out. So he didn't want to be the distraction to the teammates.
I'll defend him this far.
I know.
This was pre-scheduled. This was something he should have been doing as an active member of the Chiefs before. So this wasn't a coordinated press conference attack of let me cause some trouble. I think that notwithstanding,
what would the
you don't want to be a distraction, man. There were some other ways.
What would the highlight of today's press conference be for Chris Jones if he had already signed his contract in like July and those questions had already been asked and answered about that and just getting ready for the season? Would it be, did you see Travis Kelce? Did you see what happened on the Kelce play?
Really would. Oh, man.
That would probably be the highlight, right?
Yeah.
Of Chris Jones, like getting ready for because he would have talked 20 times probably since training camp started, or if he signed a contract before training camp. Like today's press conference would have been a lot about Ronald McDonald House, which is great because what he's doing is important.
And now a lot of more people are saying the phrase Ronald McDonald House today. So hopefully that does actually pay off for them.
Absolutely. But the highlight would probably be like, do you think Kelce play? If Kelce doesn't play, do you feel like more pressure on you guys for the defense to step up and blah blah blah? Like that would be sort of the topic. But
the highlight, as you say, would probably be something lighthearted and fun.
Yeah.
Which is the one part of this also that does kind of bum me out is just like for years, I felt like Chris Jones was the most underrated player in the Chiefs organization by a pretty substantial margin. Just he wasn't quite viewed as a like generational pass rusher or even as disruptive as guys like Tom Bahali and Justin Houston. He didn't quite get that reputation amongst Chiefs fans, and that always kind of bummed me out because I really felt like he had earned that on and off the field. And then we get like 6 months of he's elite, he's fun, this dude is he is on the Mount Rushmore of the modern Chiefs era. Will be maybe not Tyreek Hill, but maybe it's Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones. Like that. Maybe that could be this team's Mount Rushmore. And now we're here, and I don't even blame fans at this point who are saying, I am sick of hearing about Chris Jones and how much money he wants. Like, I don't know, again, if it starts with him or the Katz brothers or if the Chiefs have been unreasonable this whole time. I don't think it's that one.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is semantics when, like, the Mike Florio thing from a couple of days ago in Pro Football Talk. That was total semantics, and it was, here's the way the agents are going to be framing this versus how the Chiefs are framing this. And I think you can understand why there's a disagreement on value or disagreement on number on value. Hey, you shut up.
Well, hold on. You're watching to understand the Katz brothers. Maybe she had something.
Was that hey, Siri, are the Katz brothers giving Jones bad advice? Oh, now she's ignoring me.
No, come on, Siri.
Unbelievable.
You ask her one tough question,
and
my
goodness.
Last one, guys.
Alexa. No. The difference between the Chiefs and the Katz brothers. I don't think they're far off in what they think the annual average value for Chris Jones is per year. They're off in how they're framing it. The Chiefs are offering $74 million over 3 years. They're going to pay him $19.5 this year. They are not going to increase the salary this year. There are things they do and don't do. They don't rip up contracts like Mike Florio says. Everybody just rips up contracts. They don't do that. They don't put void years on contracts. They don't do that. And they're not going to pay extra on the year left on a contract than they already do in terms of a base salary. That will be included in that, but ultimately that's a part of it. 1 year is going to be that particular salary. Okay. That's $19.5 million this year. And if the Chiefs are offering 74, that means year 2 and 3 of his extension would be $27.25 million per year. 27.25 is what he would be making annual average value. The Katz brothers want $84.5 million over 3 years, which they say is $28 million per year. And the Chiefs say, no, that actually is $32.5 million per year. And they go, whoa. And Mike Florio goes, no, that's not how you do the math. Yet then Mike Florio says, well, Quinnen Williams is making $24 million per year. On his extension.
Right.
It's a 4-year deal for Quinnen Williams and $96 million, which is $24 million per year. Well, riddle me this, Batman Florio. Why is it a 5-year contract, you jackass? And why is that 5-year deal coming up to a total of $105.954 million as opposed to 96? Well, I'll tell you why. Because Quinnen Williams had 1 year, $9.954 million left on his contract, which is added to the 4 years, $96 million, to come up with 5 years, $105.954. That money was added to the 4-year extension. But we're only talking about the 4-year extension in which he's making $24 million per year. I can do the same thing with Jeffrey Simmons. Because if we looked at the whole 5-year for Quinnen Williams, he's making $21.12. If we look at the 5 years for Jeffrey Simmons, he's making $20.95. If we look at the extension for Patrick Mahomes, he's making, $39? He's not making $45 million. He signed a 10-year, $45 million, $450. He's making $45 million per year annual average value. Oh, no, he's not. No, he's not. Because you got to keep those same. No, he didn't sign that. Mike Florio and the agents are saying you have to combine all 3 years to get to the $28 million per year. And the Chiefs are saying, no, the extension is what we're counting as the $28 million per year, which is what we believe your average, what your value is. And they say, we agree that's the value. Okay, then what are we arguing over? Well, the way we're framing it. Yeah, Jeffrey Simmons' extension is 23.5. Quinnen Williams' extension is $24 million. And if they give Chris Jones 3 years for $84.5 million, his extension would be $32.5 million per year.
It's all so frustrating because, like you said, it all feels like it's semantics. And if it's semantics, how have you not figured this out in the last 4 months?
And you've got Mike Florio out there for the Katz brothers doing their dirty work and carrying the water for them, saying, no, everybody rips up contracts. Look what they did with Aaron Donald. Oh, you mean the contract that wasn't an extension?
Right.
You mean them literally ripping up a contract? Maybe not literally. I don't know if they had to do that. But ripping up a contract that was 3 years remaining because they didn't want him to retire, so they gave him a 100% brand new 3-year deal. They did rip up that deal and give him a 3-year deal. It's not an extension. Quinnen Williams was an extension. Jeffrey Simmons was an extension. All these other players were extensions. Chris Jones is looking for an extension. He's not looking for a brand new 1-year deal.
Exactly. Right. Yes. Right. If you want to raise in 1 year, then yeah.
Rip up the contract, give him a 1-year deal of $32.5 million is what he's looking for. He wants an extension. And Mike Florio is either dumb enough to not know the difference between that, or he's disingenuous and carrying the water for the Katz brothers so that he can get the exclusive or the report that Chris Jones has agreed to a contract. Because when a contract is done or Chris Jones reports, I'll be wondering if PFT and Mike Florio have it first.
Yep.
Because they're out there, he's out there carrying the water for the Katz brothers.
I think it's that more than anything else. And maybe he really doesn't have a good understanding of some of the. I mean, he is. We have plenty of examples of places where he has not properly understood a situation, so that's on the table. But that's what it is. It's now like even here we, in disdain, are saying, okay, so the numbers that were in that Florio story, the numbers that were in that Pro Football Talk story, because that's the only place we've gotten that kind of detail from the numbers. Yeah. So the setup, and you could tell this from how Florio tweets about Patrick Mahomes' contract and any other contract and the Chiefs, whatever. I have no reason to believe that Brett Veach texts Mike Florio bleep. So, but what you can see.
What if he does just text him bleep?
Maybe just the poop emoji over and over. It's just taunting him.
Tells him his opinion is a butthole.
Ooh, that's good. Everybody's got one is what I'm hearing.
And they stink.
I think that it is evident that Florio has connections with agents. And in this case, it's, hey guys, you You tell me what to put out. We're going to frame it. How does it need to get out here? All right, cool. When this deal goes final, then you guys tell me, courtesy of Pro Football Talk, Chris Jones has signed this extension, blah, 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 blah. Or even, keep me in the loop. But yeah, I'll put these numbers out. Page views start flowing. Page views start flowing. Ads start playing. Bank accounts start ticking. Florio's. Every link and every story points back to Pro Football Talk because that's where those numbers come from. There's no real burden of accuracy there, as he said they were putting on their journalisming hat. I think just got a text and was like, oh yeah, I can put that in the story.
Last one, and we'll take a break very late.
Sorry, Dylan.
Easier numbers to hear. Jeffrey Simmons, 4-year, $94 million extension. That's $23.5 per year. But his contract is 5 years, $104.75. So $94 million extension, $104.75. Do you know why it's $104.75?
Why is it $104.75, Jay?
Because he had $10.75 million left on a contract for this year.
Does that count, or?
Well, it depends on if you're smart or not.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
We'll talk some Chris Jones. He talked today. We'll play that press conference again. It's about 6 minutes or so. He had some things to say while not being able to say some things, you know. He's not a distraction. That's why he didn't hold in. He hasn't let his teammates down. It's been very peaceful for him in Miami, which is good.
Maybe he hasn't been on social media very much.
Yep.
That's the first time I've believed that.
And if you've got a butthole, you got an opinion, I think. That's what he said? Every opinion stink because you guys are buttholes?
Hey, speaking of all those things, Mick Schaefer.
Oh, speaking of buttholes.
Kansas City's favorite sports station, 20 years and counting. Sports Radio. delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, one more hour to go here on this Wednesday, NFL season eve. Today, our 37-hour pregame coverage presented by Quad Power Products. And call them at 816-965-8925 or online at quadfluidpower.com. That Quad Power Products. And also
Bob Allen Ford.
Bob Allen.
All Fords are created equal. It's your dealer that makes the difference. And the University of Kansas Health System, the official healthcare provider of the Chiefs, as well as thousands of middle school, high school, and college athletes in the Kansas City area. If you have a sports injury, why would you go anywhere else? Learn more at kansas-health-system.com/sports medicine. I don't think those dashes should be there. I think it's kansashealthsystem.com/sportsmedicine.
Can we reach out to them and see about a bone bruise and a hyperextension and all those things? If they're treating them, can we talk with who is actually treating Travis Kelce specifically?
If they could also just confirm for me that everyone does
Julie?
in fact have both an opinion and a butthole, I would need a doctor to officially make that one official.
There are a lot of people that don't have opinions.
I remember the first time I heard that line.
Yeah?
It was from my shop teacher in 7th grade. True story.
Right.
I thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. I'm like, that is so true.
They do stink.
They do stink. What a metaphor or analogy or whatever.
Whatever it's called.
That was 1990.
Hey, Chris, the 90s called. They want your metaphor back.
It also sounds worse than the unclean version of it. If you say everybody's got a bleep hole, everyone's got an opinion. The phrase butthole is worse to me than just the.
Well,
the
you're not
phrase.
saying the one that's.
Yeah, you're saying.
Why
AH.
don't you on the radio?
So everybody's got an AH.
Yeah.
That's not
an opinion.
my. I'm not currently exercising my own moral judgment. I'm exercising the FCC's own moral judgment at the moment.
See.
So FCC. You said IC.
ACC.
They have two coasts now.
Yes.
OCC.
That's where
The OC is on, I think, CW.
Oregon State and Washington State. They're going to join the FCC.
They might. FTC.
WTF, Mick? CJ? Question mark?
It's Chris Jones.
Oh, I saw PJ this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How about that? AL was there at the CJ press conference. Aaron
He
Ladd.
was. We got him out of bed to get there.
Did you call him? Hey,
listen,
I need you to.
This starts the time
What's
of
up?
year where I roll over and open up my phone at whatever time I wake up.
Yeah.
And there's always stuff. There's
Yeah.
always stuff I got to deal with. And so that was that today. I was going to already be in to work at like 10 or 10:30
Good for
anyway
you.
to work on our big pregame story for tomorrow night.
Is it a 37-hour pregame?
It is with 4 to 6. That'll feel like 37 hours.
Okay.
Our morning
So-
show will emanate from out there.
Roughly 18 and a half times longer than your.
Yeah, but I mean, it's different. Radio time and TV time are different.
Is it?
Yes.
So 2 hours is like 7 weeks in TV time.
Like in
for sports.
TV time, like I have 4.5 minutes on the weekends for Sportscast.
That's a good point.
That's forever.
That's a long
And we've been talking probably for about 4.5 minutes here in this segment about BS.
Yeah. Well, that's another good one.
The BS.
Yeah, that's right. Let's hear from Chris Jones. Let's go ahead and play the press conference.
This would take up 1.5 Mick weekend sports sports segments, but
that's a good point.
About 6 minutes.
That's about 6 minutes. Dougie Fresh, you're on. On. It's an issue that when I start that, I cannot finish it until it's done with the Dougie Fresh. I apologize. But here is Chris Jones and the press conference, and it starts with a question from Blair Kirchhoff.
Tell us why it's important for you to be here.
To support the children, most importantly. That's what it's all about. That's why the partnership with McDonald's was so remarkable. It's an opportunity to give back. Also, I love Big Macs. Big Macs for sacks.
Chris, can you give us a sense of where things stand right now with the Chiefs and your contract?
Can't really talk about it. Hopefully it gets worked out. It's always been my goal to be a Kansas City Chiefs for life. I've said that multiple times on social media platforms, from interviews, and they know where my position is at, and hopefully we can get something worked out for the long term.
Has this been frustrating for you?
Not at all.
Could you describe what it's been like?
It's been okay, peaceful for me. I've been in Miami, just training, staying focused, understanding that this is a process.
You miss your teammates though, and your guys. All the OTAs, mini camps, and all that stuff. Do you miss that part of it right now?
I've been keeping in contact with my teammates. I'm still working out every day, still doing similar things that they do in training camp. The camaraderie, we got a lot of new players. Missed that aspect of it, but I'll be ready to go when that time calls.
Chris, do you feel like you've let your teammates down at all? That's the criticism. That's the only criticism I've heard at all.
How? That's what I got to ask. How have I let them down? It's just like when you're at a job and you ask for an extension, right? And you ask for a raise, right? You're not letting anyone down. Who are you letting down for asking your boss for a raise, right? So when you take the personal feelings out of it, you kind of can get it. All I'm doing is asking for a raise.
What's the plan for tomorrow for you? Are you going to watch the game?
I don't know yet, man. I don't know. Could be playing. I could be on the sideline. I don't know. We'll see tomorrow.
Chris, is it still your intentions to be with the team in 2024 and future years, or will this conversation sort of change maybe your ongoing look about maybe playing your entire career with the Chiefs?
Well, I know for right now, I'm under contract this year. That's an answer for Clark Hunt to make.
What would you, I guess, what are you hoping to get most out of the negotiations right now from Clark, considering what you guys have talked about so far?
Well, I asked for an extension. Unfortunately, that haven't been brought yet. So we'll just see where it goes. We got a whole year ahead of us, and things change. Situations could change in a year. So right now, I'm under contract for the rest of this year, and we're just going to make the best of it.
I know how much you love and enjoy playing football, but how odd will it feel if you have to take the holdout fully to 8 weeks to not be with the guys, if that what you feel is necessary?
We don't know yet, man. This is week 1, right?
Yep.
So we'll see where it goes.
Chris, can you explain why it's not possible to be in with the Chiefs and negotiate at the same time?
I didn't want to be a distraction. I could have done a hold in, but that's even more of a distraction. I'd be there holding in while all the guys are there, you know what I mean? Just a bigger distraction.
Is there any scenario in which you would show up before a new contract extension that you're seeking?
We shall see.
You look like you're in shape. You look like you're really. What do you weigh? Are you ready to go out and play?
Man, listen, I can play right now. I'm good. I work out every day, twice a day. Been in Miami with my team that I normally be with in my off season, and I'm staying at it, man. Staying at it.
Chris, how much perspective does it give you? You're in the middle of a conversation about money, and you're coming today to spend the day and spend some time with kids who, in some ways, have had money for their life. Talk a little bit about that perspective.
Yeah, the perspective is, respectfully, I work for the Chiefs. And most importantly, it's about giving back to the community, the kids, the youth. But respectfully, whatever's going on with the Chiefs is completely different from this right here. So once we understand that, we can be able to come together and make something happen for the kids.
Chris, just to be clear, you haven't asked to be traded or anything like that as part of this whole thing?
I haven't said anything, man. I just been enjoying life.
You said week 8 too. I mean, is that still a legitimate timeline? You mentioned
We shall see, man. Right now it's week 1, so we should see how this thing goes. Things can change in a amount of days. There's 24 hours in a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's 24 hours for for feelings to change, positions to change, and situations to change, man. All we can do is take it an hour at a time, right?
Chris, what's the find out Frank Clark is going to Denver, and has that impacted how you see Kansas City?
Absolutely not, man. Frank is like a brother to me, someone I hold dearly and close to me, and we still keep in contact. Actually talked 2 days ago. Me, Frank, and Colin Sanders on a FaceTime. So those are my brothers, and respectfully for their families, I have to take a better offer, and I completely respect that. That has nothing to do with me and what the Chiefs have ongoing.
What's your message to Chiefs fans?
And what can I say? Opinions are like buttholes. Everybody got them and they all stink, right? So, and some gonna like it, some gonna respect it, and some is gonna dislike it. That's just the way it is. You can't make everybody happy, unfortunately. As much as you try to do and much you try to appease people, you're not gonna make everyone happy. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. And I'm just asking for a raise, right?
Chris,
Thank you.
sometimes
One more question.
There's animosity sometimes in situations like this between like the general manager and the player because it's a negotiation. How are things between you and your team and Brett Veach at this point? Has there been progress involved in this time?
I don't think there's no animosity between me and the Chiefs organization. I think there's just a little disagreement. I'm asking for a raise. They feel like this is what I deserve. I feel like I deserve more, and just a misunderstanding.
Is it getting closer?
I hope so.
How much feel like it's getting closer?
Final question, I would say, what do you hope your visit, sorry, I got in front of you. What do you hope, the last question, your visit brings to the kids and families at Ronald McDonald House today? What do you hope you do for the folks inside this building?
What I do best, bring a smile to their faces, happiness in their heart, and love the Chiefs Kingdom.
All right, there's Chris Jones and his press conference that took place about an hour and a half ago there at the Ronald McDonald House as he's doing some charity there, passing out Big Macs and spending a couple of hours there with the kids and different people involved with the Ronald McDonald House, and then holding a press conference that originally it was, hey, there might be an opportunity to hear from Chris Jones, to then, hey, he's going to talk, to then there's a podium and a microphone set up that he is going to be having a press conference there.
I was shocked that he took that many questions on it, and it turned into that, because I've been to a million of those. And it's like, make sure you ask about the charity, and then somebody tries to get maybe one little question at the end about the reason we're here for.
We're here to talk about
and
the
it'll be
Ronald
kind of a
McDonald
no
House.
comment, and they're done.
Yep. No, I appreciate the questions, but we're here for Ronald McDonald House. I'm not here to talk about that. But yeah, he answered a lot of questions, a lot of different angles to the questions and to the situation he's going through right now. And yeah, text earlier said it had but maybe he should have been doing some sit-ups in the driveway. Had that TO, press conference at one time, just randomly when that thing broke out, and that was Drew Rosenhaus with the next question. Should have been Andy Katz or Jason Katz behind going, next question.
They were there.
They were there. We're standing right there, like 10 feet away. Could have asked them some questions. I bet they would have said, next question.
Yeah. I don't know if that was if the plan was for that presser to kind of sway maybe Chiefs fans or public opinion more in favor of Chris, but I don't think it did. If that was the plan, if that was the goal.
No, it had Josh said it had a laissez-faire sort of feel to it, and I said it had sort of a what? Who? Me? What?
Yeah.
I'm just asking. What do you guys distraction?
Right.
The hold in.
He said
stressful. It's been peaceful. I'm just asking for a raise.
He tweets a lot of things that don't make sense. He said a lot of things today that didn't make sense. Although listening to it, do you guys take away from that he might be reporting today or tomorrow? I mean, he said either on the sidelines or playing.
If he was here just
now, I don't want to put too much weight in anything this guy says,
right,
or tweets.
If he was just here for the event and there was no chance something would get done, I don't think the Katz brothers would be with him. I think the Katz brothers with him.
I disagree. I think the Katz brothers went with him to the ESPYs, man. The Katz brothers weren't going to let him talk.
He is their only client.
Yeah. That's my one that'll.
Will they follow him to the grocery store?
Yes.
They're like 10 feet behind him. Just
I think so.
Hey, you're wearing a Chiefs hat. No. We are not going to have you influence this guy. I think them being in town, at least there's an opportunity of them talking with Brett Veach or signing something, getting something done.
See, when he kept asking about, they could have asked about week 8. You're like, you never know. You never know.
Yeah. We'll see.
Almost like there's something coming. And I just wonder if, okay, is he over $2 million in fines now or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, getting dinged $50,000 at a time is okay, but getting dinged 1.1 or whatever it's going to be
1.08
tomorrow,
but 1.1
is a different deal.
$3.3 million is roughly what he would be out in fines and forfeited money if he misses this game check.
Which at this point he should, because if he reports tonight and the Chiefs go, well, sorry, we don't need you in this turnaround, they could just leave him on that list and then activate him next week.
Yeah, so the issue there would be, so now does it become contentious when you say, well, we're not going to pay you for week 1, and he says, whoa, I'm reporting week 1, and if he demands that he gets the money for week 1, well, now the Chiefs have to pay the salary cap number for him, and they got to get right with the NFL, because right now they're not on the hook for the whole salary cap for Chris Jones right now, so they are in compliance with the NFL.
Today's the 51-man deadline.
So there's some things going on behind the scenes that have to go on for the Chiefs to figure some of these things out.
I would guess that they would pay it.
But if he's going to show up and report, then showing up and reporting, I'm assuming, is going to be with a new deal.
Right, and if he shows up and reports without a new deal, that's the end of negotiations in my book. There's no world in which this deal gets done in week 4, with him playing in the meantime.
Right, yeah. So if he shows up, I think he shows up with a new contract, and therefore they can restructure the cap in different ways, and so they'll be in compliance with the NFL, and they'd probably be able to pay him for week 1.
On what planet is a hold in more distracting than a hold out? If you're there, you're the one fielding those questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably all said and done with by early August. And you're moving on. You're not there. We've asked everybody with the Chiefs about Chris Jones over and over again.
I like when he said, I didn't want to be a distraction. Then he goes on to say, a hold-in would be more of a distraction. It would be a bigger distraction. So you're saying then it's a distraction, though. But so you are admitting that the holdout is a distraction.
It's definitely a
You're just saying hold-in would be more. It would be a bigger distraction. So therefore, it is a distraction.
We missed that follow-up, and we missed the follow-up of, okay, when he said, how am I, letting down my teammates? Okay, you're not there. That's the obvious thing. Do you feel like your presence not being there is letting them down because, based on how much money you're asking and how much money they're offering for, you are a big part of this team. You're a big reason they've had success. You're a big reason for success in the future. Your presence not there. Does that hurt them? And the answer, you could tell me, okay, no, it's not early on or whatever. And that might be true, but I feel like that was the obvious kind of like, okay, well, you're not here. That's why the question, why people are saying that.
I think one of the more illuminating things and maybe revealing of what could be taking place behind the scenes is when he was asked about, do you plan on being here in 2024? And he said, I'm under contract for this year. That's a question for Clark Hunt. Not Brett Veach, not the Chiefs. That's a question for Clark Hunt. Which, if you're asking for a bigger signing bonus or you want more money up front or whatever the guaranteed dollars are, and Clark Hunt says, Brett, these are the parameters we're working within, and we're not doing this. Patrick Mahomes signed a $500 million contract and got a $10 million signing bonus. Chris Jones on his franchise tag deal signed the long-term deal with $0 of a signing bonus. He just got that $16 million that year. He might be saying, look, this is what I did before. That guaranteed dollar, I'd like a big chunk of it up front. So if he's saying, am I going to be here in 2024? Well, if I got a new deal, that's a question for Clark Hunt. I think it's interesting he mentioned him when he's mentioned Brett Veach so often and so many other things he's talked about. I don't know. I don't think it was.
Or it's just Chris Jones and he just randomly named a guy above him in the organization.
That's it's up to Mitch McConnell. We'll find out. What happens
to Mitch Holtis.
How many honchos do you think we'll get this weekend? I don't know. They're squib kicking. It's sort of up to that. I have no idea. It's up to Chad Henne. Ask Peter Maurice. It's probably up to him.
Where the hell is Shane Buechele? Where is he when we need him?
I don't know. It's probably up to that's a question for John Sherman. If I'm going to be here in 2024, damn it, that's what I want to know. Because if Bobby's here, I'll be here. As long as Bobby. What if he said as long as Bobby Witt's a Royal, I'll be a Chief? That would be odd. Be a weird thing for him to say.
Yeah, I might eventually backfire. Actually, I don't know. We'll work on that one. Yeah. We can definitely make them.
It's Bobby a Royal through 26.
See, this is year 2.
It's less time than you want it to be. I can tell you that off the top of my head.
God, that guy.
27. So through the 20, because he's got 4 more years.
Cole Reagans will have 2 Cy Youngs. They'll have to be working on his deal too.
Bobby will be working on his 2nd or 3rd MVP.
Yeah, I'm not.
He might have to win more games than you lose to win an MVP.
True. Ohtani would have the Royals record for home runs in a season, right? With like 58, 59. Does he get to 60?
No, because he's getting to 25 wins.
Oh, yeah. Record wins for the Royals with Ohtani. That makes sense. Hey, let's have some fun in here. Have you heard the Manning cast auditions for the 3rd cast member? So it turns out there's like an 8-minute video on YouTube.
Yes, I hear it's even better.
I have not watched it yet. This is the condensed version for the Twitter X thingy.
Is it going to come across here on radio? Or are we going to know who everybody is?
I think it does because the voices are distinguishable, that the people that they have in the audition. So here's the setup if you have not seen this. We're playing it for those that have not seen this. So
you're going to hear it. If you haven't seen it, you're still not going to see it.
That's exactly right.
It's radio.
But you will hear it. But if you have not seen it, the setup is Peyton and Eli are sitting behind a table, and the different people that are walking in are standing up in front of them, sort of giving their reasons why they want to be the 3rd cast member of the Manning cast starting on Monday night. It's about 2 minutes long. Let's have some fun.
Hi, I'm Jared Goff, quarterback, here to audition.
So, Jared, how excited are you about the opportunity to be on the most popular show on television?
Isn't this for the Manningcast?
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I play quarterback.
Ooh, quarterback. We like that.
You like that?
I just said that we liked it.
You like that?
I mean, what is this guy's deal?
No, but did you like it?
How do you feel about audibles?
We generally just want the quarterback to run the play that's called. That's the play.
Sean Payton.
Sean McVay, Los Angeles Rams head coach.
On this team, we tear ourselves to pieces.
This is how you guys dress in real life.
You guys are terrible evaluators and go yourself.
Mike McVay.
Thank you, Mike. Who are your broadcasting icons?
Another one.
What would you say are your strengths?
We the best. I'm just here because your guys have the most punchable face in the history of punching faces.
Wow, Reese Witherspoon. I mean, we're honored you'd even consider auditioning for the Manning cast.
Manning what? Oh, no, I was calling to bundle my home and auto. Aren't you the insurance guy?
So what would we know you from?
Have you heard of TikTok?
Sure.
Really?
No.
Hi, Lil Wayne, Weezy Baby, President Carter.
I'm Peyton, and this is Lil Brother. Let's get some sleeves on you, big boy.
I don't think the job's for me. I have no idea what this is, but I don't think I'm the right guy.
Well, we tried our best. Guess it's just the two of us again this season. Unless there's someone on that list who is just perfect for the job. Nope. Not on this list.
Tom Brady in the waiting room.
You've been waiting here a long time, too? No, I didn't get the Manningcast job. I guess I'll just come back and play football again.
It's good.
It's really good.
And the 8-minute version has like 4 or 5 different people that are auditioning that were not in that little cut up that they put out.
So are they getting a third member or not? And is it going to be
Yeah,
Tom
the
Brady?
Mannings are having another baby.
I knew it. There's another. It's actually Arch Manning is just going to join him each and every Monday and talk about
They
what
can't
happened.
pay
over the
him
weekend.
enough. He's already
That's
making too much.
Exactly right. Who would ask for more, Brady or Arch, to be part of that? No, I think it's just going to be those two, and this is just a funny audition,
Okay.
unless they really end up with like Will Arnett or something.
As long as they figure out the Zoom connection this year, man, I'm cool with it.
All right, let's go.
As
The
long as they
amount of
can
money
mail these
behind
dudes a
it.
Yeti, we're fine.
Even Christmas.
Get them a USB microphone and Google
Something,
Fiber.
man.
That's it. Just do that, please.
The 2-second delay for every sentence they say.
And don't let Tracy Morgan on this year.
Or
I
do.
don't think I saw that one last year.
It was a lot. It was a lot. He was
It was a
very
lot.
excited to be there.
Yeah, he was. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. ZOUs coming up next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com in the 810 mobile.
All right, let's get some ZOUs in here. The zone over-unders. We'll go through the Chiefs here with the zone over-unders. We'll give it an update at some point, probably at the end of the season, to what the Royals over-unders are. I don't know. I haven't updated it since the midway point, so it's probably not good for me. I'm not sure. But let's go through the Chiefs over-unders for this year. We'll go around the room, and we'll rotate as to who starts first.
So you're going to take my answers.
No, you'll start first on oh, wait. You'll be last on a couple. So, all right, so let's start with Patrick Mahomes.
Over.
17,000 yards passing.
I'm sitting back. I'm over on everything.
5,000 zillion touchdowns.
Yes.
Over.
It's my kid talking right there.
Excuse me. Darn, that would have sucked if I said one interception.
Yeah.
Over. 52 interceptions. All right, Patrick Mahomes. These Mahomes and Pacheco and some of the others are easier to do because these are DraftKings lines. So they've created them. So these are actual.
I liked it better when you came up with lines.
I know, right? I know. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Patrick Mahomes, 3,500 yards passing. That's a tough one. Let me
over.
think about that one, Jason.
Patrick Mahomes, 4,800.5.
0.5. I love it.
4,800.5 passing yards. I am going to go over that number. Josh?
I'm going to go over, but I had to sit on that one for a little bit, but I still think, we're taking the over. We're getting Mahomes here.
I didn't sit at all. I just would way past it. Way over. I stood the whole time.
5,800 for Mick.
Dylan?
Over.
Over for you. He passed 4,800 yards last year. His second highest for his career was
right at 5,000.
Crossed 5,000 twice.
Crossed 5,000 twice.
His first year starting.
Yep.
But the first year of 17 games, there's been 2 years of 17 games. He had 4,839 in the first year of 17 games, and last year went over 5,000. So he has gone over 4,800 twice in those in both times in the 17-game season, but 3 times in his career. All right, touchdowns. They set it at 36.5.
You first?
Josh, you lead us off.
He hasn't not done that since 2019, and the year before that, it was he threw for 50.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and take the over on touchdowns also. Some little gadgety stuff. The offense is going to look different, but I think he's still going to throw touchdowns is my hot take.
This is the easiest game I've ever played so far. This is long gone over. Bye-bye. Bye-bye to 36.5. Yeah, I'm going over.
Dylan, I wrote you down for over, so you good? Okay, great.
Dylan, the usual. Mick, the usual.
The usual. I'll have a beer, the usual. All right, we start with you, Mick. INTs, it's set at 10.5.
Listen, a guy can't throw for 5,900 yards and 59 touchdowns without throwing a few picks. And I think he's been 13 and 12 the last 2 years.
That's right.
Interceptions, so I'm going to go over on interceptions.
Over on interceptions.
At
Dylan?
10.5.
Over.
Over. I'm going over. Josh?
I'm also going over. I thought I might be alone on that one.
We strayed at all?
All right, we're going to reset the Mahomes numbers. We are going to come back to the Mahomes numbers.
We're going to buy our own lunch.
We're going to come back to the Mahomes numbers in a little bit. Let's go to Isaiah Pacheco. This is yards from scrimmage, so rushing and receiving yards for Isaiah Pacheco this year, set at 1,100.5. 1,100.5. Dylan, we start with you. Over, under for Isaiah Pacheco.
I am going to go over.
Over.
I feel like he is going to be a 1,000-yard rusher and be over that.
Okay. I'm going to go under. I'm not happy about the under, but I'm going to go under. Josh?
I'm also going to go under.
Okay.
Preservation of the running back room sort of lifestyle.
Mick?
It's under. Andy Reid's using 3 running backs.
So of the 4 right now, we have literally one that's different than everything else. Thank you, Dylan, for at least doing that.
And he's not going to catch enough passes to make up the difference there.
He got close to 1,000 yards last year in 11 starts
or something like that.
I will tell you
960 total.
In the final 9 games where he became the back, and then 3 games in the postseason, so that's 12 games, he was pacing for 1,400 yards total. So that would be 300
Yeah,
more.
they're using everybody. CEH get a lot of touches.
Okay.
He's gonna hate it, but he's going to.
He was pacing for 14. Not that it convinced me. I still went under. I'm just seeing if you guys wanted to change.
You're just trying to make Dylan feel better, aren't you?
Exactly.
I think Dylan's got a chance to steal a point.
I really appreciate that.
Stealing a point. Isaiah Pacheco, big fan over there. All right, total touchdowns, rushing and receiving. We set it at 8.5. I've gone under on that. Josh?
I'm also going under on that.
Oh, great. Mick, under?
Wow.
Under.
All right.
Dylan?
Is this
Do
Pacheco?
Yeah,
Still
do
Pacheco.
it.
And you said both receiving and
Yeah.
I'll go over.
Yeah,
Good.
Good.
Okay. So Dylan is going to win or buy us lunch.
I was gonna say I'll do the
This is not fun so far.
Z-Man, I think.
Not fun so
Surprise.
far. Or we'll just see what Dylan wants.
Yeah, or we'll just all take. Maybe we each take Dylan to 3 separate lunches.
All right, now let's have some fun.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce, receiving yards, 1,200.5, 1,200.5 yards receiving. Josh?
I'm going under.
Under
I think
for
I
you?
did that for Kelsey last year and regretted it.
Was it a spit take?
Mick almost did a spit take. I just don't think he's playing
Almost did a
tomorrow.
spit take.
Is Jason Kelsey we're talking about?
It is
Sorry,
actually.
I thought you were talking about the Manning cast.
Yeah, Jason Kelsey, how many receiving yards for him?
I
Over
think-
under 0.5 for Jason
For Jason
Kelsey.
Kelsey, over on that one
I'm gonna go
somehow.
under.
I'm not sure how.
Under.
Yeah, I'm gonna go under. It's somewhere in that 1,000 to 1,200 range where I think he ultimately falls. Got to find a
Okay.
point somewhere.
I'm under on Jason Kelsey and Donna Kelsey and Ed and Kelsey Ballerini and any other Kelsey outside of Travis. Travis is going to shoot past 1,200. I think in the last 5 years, he's only not got to 1,200 once.
Yep.
And the weaker that receiving core gets, the stronger Travis becomes.
Well, he might be weaker based on yesterday's practice. So
With 0 hyperextended knees, I'm probably going over, and I'm probably overreacting.
They got that extra game,
Yep.
right? Didn't play tomorrow. Yep.
I'm probably overreacting.
Dylan, over under for you?
I will go over as well. I trust Kelsey.
I'm also going over. So Josh is man on an island.
So right
there.
now it's just you and I.
That's right.
We
We
are
are
blink
branched
first.
off.
Oh yeah, this is a standoff. Travis Kelce touchdowns set at 9.5. Mick?
Over. He's unguardable down there.
the,
he runs his own routes. He doesn't even know what route he's running until he puts his foot in the ground, and he's going over 9.5.
How can another team know what he's running if he doesn't even know what he's running?
Right. The only other person that knows is Patrick Mahomes. Conveniently, he's the quarterback.
Oh, that's good. It works out well for the
Jeez,
Chiefs.
what are the odds?
Dylan?
Over for all the same reasons.
Over for the same reasons. I'm going under.
You were under on touchdowns.
I'm sorry. I'm going over. I apologize.
Whoa. You said under. You want to spice it up?
No, I
He only had
went,
5 receiving touchdowns in 2019, by the way. That seems impossible. How did that happen?
I went over.
I'm also going over on touchdowns.
Too many Tyreek. Too much Tyreek.
That's probably right.
Like they were like not getting to the red zone a lot of times.
Yeah,
It was like
sure.
50-yard
40
touchdowns.
yards, 50-yard touchdowns.
All right, Mick, we start with you, right? In this Mick starter?
No, I started the last one.
Okay, it's a Dylan starter. Dylan, this is whoever the leading wide receiver is. We're not asking who it's going to be, but whoever the leading wide receiver is, their receiving yards, 750.5.
Over.
Over. I like it. I'm also going over. Josh?
Josh seen a big
I've
drop
left
off
some
for
yards.
the Chiefs
I've-
offense
no,
this year.
Yeah, I've left some yards on the table. I just don't know who it's gonna be. But that doesn't matter for this question. So I'll say over.
Over.
My math ain't mathing if I'm going to say under with all the yards and touchdowns I have Mahomes throwing for. So I'm going to have to say over on that whoever it is. I don't think it's possible to be under. So there you go.
I think I went over. Did I already say that? Over?
Yeah, I was the last one.
Yeah, over
Yeah.
For me as well.
So you lead off this one.
So then I'll lead off this one. Touchdowns for said leading wide receiver that is yet to be named. 6.5.
Does it have to be the same guy, or are you saying does
Nope.
does any
No,
wide
anyone,
receiver?
anyone, yeah.
Okay.
Any
good.
wide receiver that leads the team in touchdowns is more than 6.5. Any wide receiver that leads the Chiefs in yards is more or less than 750. Touchdowns, I'm going under the 6.5.
Really?
What's happening?
Oh, man, I don't because who is it gonna be? Mick?
No, it's not going to be Mick.
Who's it gonna be?
Somebody, because he's
You-
throwing for like 50.
Yeah,
you,
I
Lieutenant
think-
Weinberg.
I think no, I guess McKinnon wouldn't count. He's a running back. I will say over.
Okay, so yeah, okay.
Those touchdowns
Right. It's
they
gotta
gotta
be
land
WRs.
somewhere.
You're going over, Josh?
I'm gonna say that a Chiefs receiver has 7 touchdowns this year, but I don't
Okay.
know who it is.
I mean, MVS is going to fall into a game where he gets 3 in one game, and somebody's going to surpass that. So for all the same reasons I had for yards, I'm applying to touchdowns. I'm going over as well. You and I are not on the same
So
page
finally,
anymore.
we have all differed on some particular question along the way. Dylan.
Over as well.
Over. Wow, I am the man on an island with that one. So.
I don't hate it, man.
Oh, thank you.
I do. I never hated anything more.
Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, and Justin Ross all end up with 6 touchdowns. MVS gets 5. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Which brings us to our next question. This is either you get the point or you don't.
I bet we have at
which
least
is typically
3
what these
different
are.
answers.
Who leads wide receivers in yards? Who is the player? Josh, we start with you.
I don't want to go first on this one.
Well, just the way it's just the way it ended up.
Sky Moore.
Sky for you. Mick?
I don't trust Richie James or Kadarius Toney health-wise.
Shut your mouth.
MVS is not going to be consistent enough. I don't trust Sky Moore out of the slot. I'm going with the rookie and Rashee Rice.
Wow.
I said it. I'll say it again. Rashee Rice. That's twice I've said it.
Can we count that for double points since you said it twice? I mean, -2 for you?
Rashee Rice, triple points. Put it down right
But
now.
it's also -3, though.
This is like when,
no, wait.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, no, this is like when Beard said Chris Bubich would lead the Royals in wins last year. This was like, hey, this was a real important moment for the rest of us.
It was a huge
I think
moment.
he was already hurt at the time.
He might have been.
It's bold.
Dylan, who you got?
I'll go Sky Moore as well.
Damn it.
Oh,
I also went Sky Moore.
Wow.
How all the receivers we come up with only 2, an MVS,
One
not one
Sky
of them.
Moore, yeah.
Okay, you guys, Jason and Dylan, for $5 each from both of you, for a total of 10. I'll move to Kadarius Toney. You guys can buy me over to Kadarius Toney. How about
Right
that?
now they have to pay you?
Yeah, right now.
No. Why would I do that?
I don't know. I just thought maybe I'd get $10 from you guys.
Oh.
I was looking for a way to spice things up.
But I just randomly
try 20.
Yes.
Okay, $20 from each. I'm gonna go for it.
All right, Chris Jones. More sacks or games played this year for Chris Jones? Mick, we start with you.
He will play more games.
Games, okay.
I
Dylan?
have the sinking feeling he's going to report soon, but it's going to take him a while to catch up. And we've seen it before. These holdouts turn into like average seasons. That's what my feeling is.
I'll go games as well.
I'll go games.
Yeah, most of the time it's games. Right?
Yeah, I know. I just threw that in there just for an extra point, but then we were all in agreement there. So, all right, sacks for Chris Jones, 9.5. 9.5 for Chris Jones. This starts with Dylan.
This is big. You might be listening, Dylan.
That's right.
Oh, you're right.
You know,
You're right.
he's wondering what your butthole is.
Well, it's definitely an opinion. I'll
See if it
go
stinks.
over. I'll go over.
Wow.
It's a call for Chris to come
Buttholes
back.
are like ZOUs. Everyone's got one.
I
They all
don't think
stink.
Chris thinks that one stinks. I'm going under for Chris Jones in 9.5. Under. Josh?
I'm in physical pain.
I don't know why. You should probably get that checked
You
out.
wanna go to
This
the
is just
you have to go to the hospital
Yeah,
again?
No,
anything?
I'm
Okay,
probably fine. It's probably Chris Jones.
By the way,
related.
your when you're like that, your shirt looks like it's part of your tattoo. Mick?
Ooh, how's that? Is that fun?
That's the new
Isn't that
thing.
crazy?
Bleeding
Wow,
into your
that's
shirt.
wild.
Yeah,
I
real
can
good.
see that
Nuts.
now.
The pine cones bleeding into the palm tree.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
we're creating some biodiversity. I'm gonna.
Sure. Is that a pine cone? I thought that was a jellyfish.
No, it's a pine
Is the
cone.
pine cone's
On
upside down
fire.
right now?
Oh.
I'm gonna say under.
Are you
Under.
passing a stone?
I'm gonna say under for Chris Jones. I'd rather pass a kidney stone. I'm gonna say under for Chris Jones.
Mick?
There's nothing down here.
That's me, like going under the table.
Oh, you're going
I'm
under the table. So Dylan on an
I
island.
feel like $100. I'm not in pain. This is the easiest game I've ever played. It's like checkers with a baby.
I'm looking forward to Mick buying us lunch.
Yeah, totally right.
George Karlaftis, sacks, set at 6.75.
I believe.
Oh,
this
I
is...
meant 9.75 for Chris. I apologize. Does that change anybody's?
Why
Still
does-
under.
Oh, I get the
So the half
7.5.
sack.
Yeah, I meant 9 points. Does that change anybody's?
Nope.
Okay, I'm going under.
Makes it easier for
Does,
you to say under.
yours? Are you still going over at 9.75?
Sure.
You gotta stick to your
love
guns
it.
on that.
I had him exactly.
At 9.5. George Karlaftis, sacks 6.75. I will go over for this year. Josh?
I'm gonna go under. I think the longer he's playing without Chris Jones, the harder it is to get that.
That's where I
that
was
number.
struggling there.
It's tough. I think it's close.
Mick?
I think the longer he's playing, he'll play longer this year. Play more snaps and everything, be more established. I say over.
I'm going Briscoe.
His
His reasoning.
That's the first one we've had 2 and 2. How about
Is it
that?
really?
The first question.
And I don't feel great about it, so I guess it works. I guess it's a
The
good line.
24th question in. We got there. All right, team defense. This is So team defense sacks as a team, 41.75.
Where'd they end up last year?
55.
55. I was surprised by that.
So was I.
Big drop off.
Who's up first on this one? I apologize.
I think it's Josh.
Josh up first.
I'll go under.
Under for you, Mick. This is a tough one.
I'm in Josh. I've got Josh's cramps now, or whatever he had going on.
This is the tough one for you. Finally got to one where you thought was a little difficult.
Yeah, I'm gonna go under.
Okay. Under for you.
Me
Dylan?
as well. Under.
All right. And I am also going under. So that one is no longer needed. Team turnovers.
The defense gets?
The defense gets. Teams turnover. 31.5 this year. Mick,
I'm going under.
Under for you. Dylan?
Under. For me, too.
Oh.
Me too.
Under. I'm going over. So how about that in your face? Wins for the Chiefs, 11.5.
North.
Over.
North. Over.
Wins for the Chiefs, 12.5.
Over.
I just changed it.
Over. Yep.
Over.
Wins for the Chiefs, 18.
Under.
No. All right, there you go. There's the ZOUs. We'll see what happens this year. We'll take a timeout, come back, wrap up the show next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Thank you, Mick. Appreciate it.
Thanks for buying lunch in a couple months.
I mean, you're welcome for everything.
Looking forward to
Presents.
that mid-January lunch.
Man,
I'm already excited about what I'm going to order.
as long as Mahomes has a good year, I think I'm safe. What are the odds of that?
Well, the Mahomes thing we all agreed on.
True.
So, I mean, true. Maybe we get together
And all of his friends have good years, too.
Yeah, that's right. Mahomes and his friends just have good years. Just have good years. You and friends. Maybe we get together and figure out yards, touchdowns, interceptions that makes it a little more difficult for it to slide on Mahomes. So what we're saying is go to DraftKings, put the over on all of those things for Mahomes.
Everything.
Yards, touchdowns.
I got paid off on him in like mid-December last year, right?
Yeah. I'm going to get paid off on his over 2.5 touchdowns for tomorrow night. Feeling good about that one. Feeling good about you, Mick.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There are few things more wonderful in life than intimacy. But when erectile dysfunction harms intimacy, it can have devastating effects on a relationship. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and I want you to know today that